Hello. Welcome back. Hi, everybody. Tonight is a little different. It is fun times. This is one of the things I like to do at the end of one of these kind of series. But I think I should introduce myself first. Hi, all. You know me. I'm at Jonathan on Twitter. Prexor with Esme4. You see me around here on Twitch. I do say that a lot. And tonight is an Inside the RPers studio for Starblade Battalion Memories. Around me are some of my fine, wonderful friends who joined me on this little mini series of fun and drama and giant mechs. And yes, I realized halfway through writing the tweet earlier this morning that this will all be about seeing how the mechs get flown. And yes, it does rhyme. It fits the rhyme scheme and it fits the meter for a particular song a particular individual who writes like that. But I'm not going to actually sing it because if I do, the bot will get me. He won't, but the bot will. I guarantee you. And we're going to go around, let my friends introduce themselves. You'll notice we are short and Eddie. Eddie was exhausted from traveling, so, we're going to let him sleep, because sleep is an important thing, we're told. Sometimes. But we're going to start with, to my left on the overlay, hey Lynn, how are you doing? Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining all the fun this little 6 weeks.
Hey, absolutely. Love things like this. To be able to just talk about the campaign once it's over. And be able to hang out with everybody again. But yeah, I'm Lynn, Flying Source, and I played Vantage Lightning Rain in the campaign.
Yes, indeedy. Look, Cold Drake, I can't sing that song because I know that song rights are currently held by Sony, and I don't need that copyright strike because they are evil. At least Sony Music is evil, and we'll go after everyone. Look at Nirvana and what happened to them. Next up, directly underneath me on the overlay, hey PB, how are you? How you doing? We can't hear you. Because it wouldn't be a stream if there wasn't some level
I love all the expletives I can see being mouthed, though.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
Okay. All right. Just settings things. Never update your computers, guys. Hi. I'm PB. I'm doing well today. I'm doing good. Excited to be here and dish on all the secrets and learn some secrets that I've been dying to know from some other characters. Also, I'm very excited for today.
Yes. I embrace sharing all the secrets. And someone else who is full of secrets, or at least played someone full of secrets in this campaign. Hey Pope, how are you doing?
Doing well. Hey everybody, Pope here, Pope World on Twitter, Pope World on Twitch. I lurk on all your streams. And I got to play Adam Watcher Wingfield, and that was an absolute delight. I am here to answer questions, maybe ask a few, and just find out just how far the rabbit hole goes with this group. So strap on in. It's gonna be a ride.
Yeah. Now I just feel like Betty Davis in All About Eve. Ooh, I think I need that dress. Lindy, do I need that dress?
Of course you do. We all need that dress.
Thank you.
I'm here for this.
And last but never least, hey Lindy.
Hi, I'm here to support all of your dress wanting and buying. Well, not all. If it was an awful idea, I would tell you, but that's a great idea. So yes, yeah, I'm here and I'm ready to, I too am ready for secrets and questions and things. I had a lot of fun playing Aurelia, Princess Ludus Sterling, and yeah, I'm ready to chat about it and see what everybody else has questions about and think of questions of my own in my big question making machine upstairs.
all of the questions. Okay, so I'm going to actually start with a question that I pulled from, because then there are a bunch of people we know in various discords, and I was like, hey, we're gonna do this. Let's get some, if anybody has some questions. So our dear friend Simon, Wandering DM, this is actually a really great question. So I know this answer, but I don't think our wonderful friends at home. How many of you have played an interlock system game before? Witcher, Cyberpunk, Mekton. So, PB, did you play what? You played Witcher, right?
Yes, and I have played a Cyberpunk game before.
And Lynn, which one's?
Witcher is like a one shot.
Yeah. So here's the question for all of you then, because I know that Pope hadn't played an interlock system before.
Nope.
What did you think of the life path system?
It's like one of my favorite parts of the system, TBH.
It's a lot of fun, and like actually it did a lot to like kind of like make this, you know, kind of figure out the character like just like right away. It was, and kind of take things in different directions. It was really cool. And I love charts. I won't lie. I love like life path charts of any kind.
Having come from the realm of Mech Warrior and BattleTech, this wasn't my first life path system. However, I was kind of surprised in how, coming from something as crunchy as Mech Warrior and BattleTech, how slim everything was. Like, it was a life path system, but it was very stripped down. It had a number of like nice little random bits and bobs. I mean, this wonderful little fidget cube that didn't really feature in the campaign, but was the toy that Adam kept with him at all times, was a nice part of that. So it definitely helped with coming up with a character and how they fit in. But it feels to me like I wish there was just a little bit more meat on the bone. But I think that's more of a personal preference.
So, Lindy, because I know that you and PB have both played long-term Witcher campaigns.
Yes, I played long-term Witcher. I have not played Cyberpunk yet, but I've also played Fusion, the Fusion system from our Talsorian games, which is a combination of interlock and something else. No life paths, but you know, it's a system.
So, what did you think of this life path versus Witcher's?
Oh.
Would you? I mean, because like my okay,
I love them both, but they're different. Yeah,
they're different. They are different. Like there's a lot of differences between the two.
Like in Witcher, you kind of pick your occupation first and then go down your life path. Whereas in this, I'd gone into it thinking, yeah, I'll be some kind of like a mechanic. Yeah, I'll be like a mechanic. And then I made my first roll in that life path system, and it said that my background was like upper wealthy / nobility. And I was like, well, you know, let's just see what happens. Maybe I won't be a mechanic after all. And yeah, it completely changed what kind of character that I kind of thought I might be playing going into it, because it just kind of told its own story. And I was like, well, let's just run with that instead of whatever that I kind of had half formed in my mind. Whereas in Witcher, you kind of have like your character, at least class, and then you see what events inform their life. I feel like this was more like, here's your life. Now, like, slap occupations into it. And I can't say which one I like better because they're both very fun.
What did you think?
I think
I really like this one. I'm a really big fan of this life path system. In fact, like whenever anybody asks me about this game, I'm always just like, oh, it's great. Like the way you get started is you do this thing. I don't know why, like this year since starting this game, I've met a lot of people who haven't played TTRPGs. So whenever I tell them like, "Oh yeah, I'm in this game," and they're like, "Oh, I don't know what that is," I'm like, "Oh, it's kind of like D&D if you think about it that way." And they're like, "I don't know what that is either." And I'm like, "Oh, amazing! Let me tell you about this."
let me explain this to you. And I was like, no, it's really not like D&D at all. I was just using that as a comparison. You've heard of it, but you haven't heard of it, so let me explain.
Exactly. And I've been like, "Oh yeah, life path, blah 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 blah." And yeah, I'm a really big fan of the way that they set it up, and in yeah, I just really like how they set it up, and I really enjoyed how, I guess, how short each thing was. Like, it wasn't an entire paragraph of just like, this is a characterization of your character. It's just like, your family's dead. Uh, like, do with that what you will. Or you have a couple of siblings. And these hate you, these don't, these like you. This one's dead. You know, like it did. And it, from that, it just really allowed you to, for me at least, to just really have a jumping off point. And in comparison to the other systems, I really liked how it did start off. It felt very much like an actual life path of just like, hey, this is, you know, you're born, you're wealthy, you know, these are your parents, these are your siblings, and then all the way at the end, you know, friends, romantic partners, and then, oh yeah, jobs, and the rest of the game. There you go.
Oh yeah, jobs. That's a thing. So I guess the question is, because I know the answer to this question. So I have a question, because I mean, like, I know the answer to this question, but Cole Drake was talking about, it's like, it sounds like this life path chart kind of shoves you outside the comfort box, using Lindy's example. Would you say that that ended up being true for all of you, or did you end up playing characters that you were very, very comfortable with in conception for all of you?
Oh no. I
We had the
this is
same role on one thing, and it tickled me.
I usually play in games very more, especially with my age, more mentory characters, more elder statesmen. While they definitely have a sexuality about them, it's not at the fore. Adam fucks. And that was definitely a central theme for this character with the life path system. Like the series of X's, the high attractiveness, like it's just, this is completely out of my control. And so I had to play something outside of what I would normally try and slot myself into.
And Cole Drake, to answer your question, I'm assuming you're asking if fucking is on the life path system. Hi, welcome to the dark future that is Mekton. The assumption, because this is anime game, the anime the game, there is an entire section of this life path dedicated to your horrible romantic choices, and whether or not they end happily or not, which are very poor. And
to quote the wording on the roll that I got on that chart, which I think was the same thing, or at least very similar to Pope's, was, I will date anything that moves. Is what Aurelia got. So that was interesting.
Well, also the life path is like, hi, I picked up yet another romantic interest. Okay, what happened with this one?
Yeah.
And just with the life path system, it's like, okay, this character's gotten around. And then working with these wonderful people to figure out, okay, how, why, what is those relationships like? How did they end? And what's sort of the remaining feelings, if there are any. And so a character that has incredibly high attractiveness and next to absolutely no cool, so can just easily be wrapped around somebody's finger, manipulated, and falls in and out of love easily. is something very different for me.
So very different character for Pope. What about you, Lynn? Was this a very different kind of character for what you usually play?
It's one of those archetypes that I'm like, that's in my wheelhouse, especially like going into a mech game. I wanted that, like, you know, young pilot thing, you know, the youngest one, and then the life path just kind of informed me what that character was. So I ended up on the life path just getting max siblings on this thing. So I had like 7 siblings, and like,
Yeah, you only forgot about one. It's fine. You didn't know about him.
I didn't know. But yeah, it also made her the second youngest, so it kind of informed me that big family, big semi-wealthy family with just like a lot, you know, she being like the baby of the family basically, and having to like work from that. And also gave me like a love interest, which is unusual for usually my characters. Usually they have very, very, very sad love lives.
Yes, I will admit, in every game I've played with you so far, Lynn, you've had a not so great love life. But this one, Rustlin
was good. Rustlin was my
you know,
sweet
you
Captain Harlock boyfriend. So like I was up for that, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Like
your sweet Russian Captain Harlock.
Yeah.
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 I am here for Rustlin. I am here for Russian
Same.
Harlock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is who Rustlin now is in my head. He is Russian Harlock. All of the fun. So, you know, you can theoretically in a life path have a happy romantic relationship. Aurelia does.
Yeah. I surprisingly rolled no bad breakups, no enemies. Like Aurelia's path was like, well, damn, you really were born with like a golden spoon in your mouth, weren't you? Because everything just pretty much went your way throughout your life path. So that was interesting. Usually something's gone wrong.
Not this time.
Nope.
Not this time. All right then. I will no, I asked a couple questions. Is there someone who wishes to ask a question from the table?
I do.
Okay, PB.
I do. So one of the wonderful things that we did is we all had to come up with rumors about our character.
Mm-hmm.
Some being true, some not being true, and one that I kept meaning to bring up in game. Whenever Lindy or Aurelia would choose the non-alcoholic option, is Lindy had 2 rumors. And I'm trying to remember what the first rumor was.
I'll pull it up 1 second. I have them all.
I have them here.
I did too.
So Aurelia and her husband Argento are expecting children. That was rumor 1. Rumor 2, she isn't the real Aurelia, just an impersonator. After all, her parents didn't seem to recognize her at the last gala.
Oh no.
See, and here's the thing, like, I'm the one. So I started doing this with Romance of the Blue Rose, and I did it a little bit with Witcher, and one of the things that came out of this is like, I knew you guys had already been established as, you know each other, right? This is not you are meeting for the first time in a tavern and you're going to have to somehow come up with a reason why you all are hanging out. That isn't what this is. You already know each other. You already know some things about each other. They may not all be true because, look, you don't tell your deets to everybody that you meet, and there's a level of intimacy with various people that you don't necessarily share everything about yourself. Hi, there are barriers and boundaries. But so I came up with these sharing rumors that might be true or might be false. And I'm the one who has all the answers to who everybody, whether they have, which one is true or false. So the question, PB, what was the question?
So my question is Aurelia expecting children with her husband, Argento?
Yes. But not how you might think.
Oh.
Yes, because so as you discovered, girl has some fancy mods, some implants,
Cyberware is a
some
thing.
cyberware that might be difficult to modify. Also, they're really rich. So they would definitely they are expecting children, but in an artificial womb, like back home.
Oh.
Because subdermal armor. I actually
Yeah.
went through when Lindy first proposed this. I went through, and because she was telling me what cyberware she was going to get, and I went through and had to go read through the Cyberpunk Red. So also side note, because Starblade Battalion is set in the same universe as Cyberpunk, but a kind of alternate time, because it splits off just before Cyberpunk, just before Cyberpunk, the end of Cyberpunk 2020, and everything that happens in the Fourth Corporate War never happens in the Starblade Battalion timeline. So there are timeline differences and things that kind of come out of that. But so I allowed all of the players to choose Cyberpunk Red Cyberware because it was just going to be easier because I have that book and I don't have to worry about all the things. And so I went through and read through the stats in Cyberpunk Red for subdermal armor. You can't gain weight, and you can't it prevents you from having surgery without it makes it complicated for you to actually have surgery without the added steps of removing the armor. So getting pregnant would have been not gonna happen.
Yeah. So yeah, one of those wonderful, wonderful cyber world inventions of a artificial womb. Because the girl's got to keep her figure. A, subdermal armor. B, just her whole career thing, look, aesthetic. Which is why that pizza was a really big deal when she was sitting there eating that pizza by herself. There's just, whew.
Love that. Thank you for answering that question that has been bothering me for months at this point.
All right. Anyone else have any questions before I pull?
Well, now I just pulled up the rumors and I'm going through them, and it's like, okay, well, that one got answered.
Which one are you talking about? The one we just had?
Yeah, but there was another one that got answered that wasn't necessarily revealed because there's two. And as for Calyx, the rumors were she had her family killed so she could inherit the family fortune, or she has a crush on the team mechanic.
I wonder which one.
Oh.
I wonder which one that is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we all know if you spoilers for the whole series. I should point this out.
Don't watch this episode first.
It will not.
Disclaimer.
Imagine.
So if you watch the finale, you know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's because my character, when I rolled, instead of rolling like a million lovers who loved me, I rolled that no one loves me at the moment, and which is so beautifully written as "you are unloved," and and then it was "you're waiting for the right one." So I was just like, I don't know what to do with that. And when we were coming up with NPCs, I'm just like, well, I kind of want to have. I was just like, I kind of want to like f around with this of somebody we know. And I'm like, we only know so many people. And I'm just like, it would be really funny to me if it were the mechanic. Because she was so headstrong. And my character is so uncool. I rolled so poorly on cool. But I was so hot. So it was like, I'm like, I would love to see how that would go. And throughout, anytime I tried to talk to Socket, I would purposely be a little bit more like babbly and a little bit more like I don't
It
know
was
what
really
I'm saying.
cute.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
cute. Oh, I shipped it so hard.
Oh,
And I'm glad it came to a head on the last episode. So I'm just like, oh, you did it, Calix.
You did. Although, no, technically Socket did.
Look, that was the plan all along.
It worked out.
It did work out. It did work out. So yes, the answer to that rumor is no, Calyx did not have her family killed. I should stress, Calyx didn't have her family killed.
Oh no, I hate that.
Bum, bum, bum.
dun-dun-dun-dun.
What? Did you want more details than that?
That's not ominous.
Bum 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 bum.
I don't know, something something circle, something something Lorenz, what?
Something something. They were spies. Something something.
No, your parents were not spies. There were too many spies in other places, but no, they were not
So
spies.
many spies.
Too many last spies.
They were spies, unless you made them not spies.
I made them. No, well, yes, no. Because they weren't. Let's put it this way: they weren't spies for the Circle. They weren't involved with the Circle. Their death had nothing to do with spying.
Was it because of their amnesia then?
The amnesia was a side effect, but it was more their. Look, you gave me. They don't remember you, and then they died. I was like, okay. What am I gonna? Oh, okay. So I was like, look.
Like, I didn't give you anything. The game produced
The
it.
game.
The game.
The
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 game.
life path.
Life path made it.
The hashtag blame life path. Look, I'm gonna put that up right now. That's going on Twitter. Come here, Twitter. Come here. Come here. Hi, Artel. This is my answer. Hashtag blame life path.
I love that for you.
Hashtag blame life path. There we go. That is now up on Twitter. It is quote tweeted the go live tweet for this. You can find it there, and you know everything now will be hashtag blame Twitter or hashtag blame life path. But you gave me both that they died and that they had forgotten you. So I was like, oh, okay, so why would they die after they forget you? Well, the logical reason would be because they've started to remember. Right?
Ooh. That's spooky.
Oh, dealing further with a certain fashion faux pas machinations.
I mean, he might have been tangentially related, but he wasn't.
Mm.
He was too young to have been, like, if you look at the math, he's really too young to have been the cause of their death. Because they died, what, like a decade or two ago?
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
And so he, you know, and he's technically, I mean, he's the same age as you are, but it would have been, that's like, all right, he's 20, but he's not, that's not, you know, 2 decades ago, he would have been 10, or, you know, if he's 20, he's not, it would be really odd for him to be the one plotting for that.
Yeah. Fair enough.
He definitely plotted to murder you.
I would love to see him try.
There
Well, there were attempts.
were attempts were made, but you're
Attempts were
worth it.
made. Yeah.
Exactly,
Oh.
I am worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Attempts were made. No, he definitely. Spoiler alert for fuckface. Look, Lorian Messer is probably the worst character I have ever felt. I ever put in something.
Damn.
Yeah, Coldrake, but they weren't his parents, so it would have been weird. They were Calyx's parents that ended up dead. No, he pulled a classic. Oh, you were involved. You were in a coma. I'm gonna come be your friend and you're not all with it because you're still recovering from being in a coma, but I'm going to pull the classic be the very polite, I'm the friend from school, bring you pretty gifts, marry the younger sibling, and then quietly arrange for the older sibling to die and become the, custodial, power of attorney for the one that's medically impaired because she got out of a coma. And he may have been helping keep her in a medical impairment.
A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder.
Yes. A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, yes.
And this is why Calyx brought out the big guns at the very end, because she was like, you don't fuck with my family. Not this way.
Okay, so Koldrick has a question. One of the questions I forgot to ask in Discord, what was the deal with having the partner dress older in older hairstyle? It said, oh, you mean having...
Just a douchebag.
Well, no, I mean, think about it. Calyx and Alex are twins, right? They're also both very, very part of the uber rich, right? They are almost everyone in this game was a 1%er.
Absolutely.
There was like
I was outside that.
I said,
I think you were
top
you're
1%.
you were the
There was
only
the
one.
1%.
Yeah, you're the only one that was like this is fancy. Went to the hotel. There was like
I loved it.
This is normal.
I loved it so
Yeah,
much.
this is-
How many
this is-
rich kids we wound up being.
just a bunch of
but you
poor captain.
But you look at that and you would think that those are the type of people that would be, at the height of fashion, still young, still pretty, but now she's dressing older, 10, 20 years older than she should. So so it's like saying, oh, you're Kim Kardashian, but you are dressing like, what's her name? It would be like the difference between dressing like Marilyn Monroe and Grace Kelly, right? There's just, and particularly it was an indicator of her, of something being wrong with Alex, right? Yeah, Joan Rivers is a little older, maybe her daughter, creepy as she is.
And yeah, and Alex was always Alex in my head because I rolled super attractive but super uncool. But because Alex is my twin, I'm like, oh well, she's gonna be the super attractive one and the super cool one. So she's always gonna be the one like on top of, like, she was the one that was going to always be the one dealing with the business, because she was always the more likable one, the one that's easier to talk to and stuff like that. And that's what Alex was always going to be in my brain. And so seeing her like that, especially during the campaign, was such a cognitive dissonance of the image I had of her in my mind.
Yeah, that was intentional.
Yeah, so like immediately when that happened, I was just like, oh, was a little bit sad I didn't get to yell at her. I mean, I did a little bit, but not as much as I was anticipating. I was anticipating going in there and having like an all-out like sibling war, instead of having a war for my sibling.
Yeah.
I imagine we got her a makeover like ASAP
Oh,
after that was over.
immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, how much? It's like, if you can name that classic B sci-fi film that I was basing it on, for what that hint was all about. But so I have another question from the chat in here. Simon also asked, our dear friend Wandering DM, for all of you, what did you think of the mech combat system? Now, admittedly, we didn't get really into it until the last game, but...
Surprisingly easier than I thought it was going to be.
I have played many mech games. It is I don't want to necessarily say the smoothest, but it is the one that emulates the style that it is aping the best. For giving you that very anime feel, it 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 ticks off all the boxes. If you're wanting something a bit more, again, grindier, there are other systems, but for something that has a more high-paced cinematic feel, this definitely did its job.
And admittedly, for those of you who wish to play at home, I will also say there are ways to make it much more grindy and crunchy, and like we.
Oh, you can go very far afield into the grind zone, but this, even with its layers, because if you get the Zeta Plus, there's layers. It's still, I want to say, 3 degrees removed from Mech Warrior.
Yes, I'll agree with that.
Because you're not, while there's hit locations, you're not dealing with both armor and internal structure. You're not keeping track of as many crit locales, and blessedly, you do not have to manage heat. So
Well, you all didn't.
fair.
There are ways you would have to do that, but yeah.
But it is the really nice thing about the system is you can make it. It has a base level of intricacy, but you can make it more complicated if you so choose. That being said, it's not necessarily the easiest mech combat I've had, but it is amongst the easiest mech combat I've had. The crunch to the system is in the design of both character and mech. As for actual gameplay, because of how there's this flow to battle, it's far quicker and smoother than most.
Even as long as the battle took for all of us, admittedly, that was partially how many combatants there were.
Well, sheer volume as well as just armor and weapon design.
Yeah.
Is where you get into this sort of tier and very realistic for the genre arms race.
So what did you think, Lynn?
I had a lot of fun with it. Like, I think like Hope said, it hit the kind of mega combat that I think I was set for, which is mostly kind of like that space opera Gundam. It's not like super crunchy. It's very like stylized. So, you know, the sword fights and stuff like that. And I think getting into the duel that we had definitely had that feeling to it. Like it had that same flow to it. It wasn't like one person like one shots. It's kind of like you're trading blows a little bit before like something dramatic happens. Like you're taking pieces off and having that sort of damage. I think that it worked. It was a lot of fun. Like it was just crunchy enough where like those little flourishes, like different weapons and different types of technology can feel significant, but not super bogged down. Like I think what I liked about the way everyone did their mechs felt like a signature mech from like different shows and stuff like that, because you had the kind of like animal-ish one, you had the very like kind of transforming super one, and like kind of like a pared down one. So like everything fit really well, and I kind of think it gave each of those mechs like something interesting to deal with. And I mean, as far as combat went pretty smoothly, and it felt like just dangerous enough just to like feel tense in that fight.
Yeah. There were a couple times I was like,
you're one crit away from a bad day.
Yeah, the thing of like you're doing fine, but like there's that danger. It hits the right place.
And things, but sometimes, you know, the dice tell a great story, and there was a
Mhm.
great story told in that, particularly that last battle. So I guess I like this trading questions thing. I like trading questions.
Okay, I've got one for the group. Again, we're really getting into the character thing. One of the things that I always gets in my head and just rattles around there is in the portrayal of your characters, is there a particular moment or thing where the character got away from you, where they, even in your terms of your role play, they surprised you? Or was this like the character was fully under your control, your wraps, your grasp?
I've just let the character happen. I really didn't know what Calix was gonna do, like, throughout the entire scene. I very much tried to be a little bit more reactionary with her, because she was supposed to be a little bit more arrogant and a little bit more you know, aloof and stuff like that. And also she had very much a her motto was live it down and forget it. But I'm very much not that way. So I was like, whenever I portrayed her, I wanted to just kind of be on the moment. And not think too far ahead, not think too far back. Just be like, okay, what is happening right now? What is the situation? What did I just found out? Oh, someone tried to kill me. For how much? That sounds about right. And or oh, my sister got married and she sent me photos of the amazing ceremony and is being a real dick in this message. Oh, but they called her, which is all very, very much something Alex would do. A little bit more extreme, but Alex didn't like me. As rolled by the hashtag life path. So I was like, oh, that's all about, that's to be expected. I'm upset about that. But really what I'm more upset about is the thing that directly affects me, which is the fact that they called her famous and not me. And so it's one of those things that I tried to just latch on to something in the scene and go forward, as opposed to look for something in the scene. Or look for something that the character would be thinking about in the moment. Because Calix, bless her soul, not a thought behind those eyes sometimes.
That's explaining the nudity and the knife wielding.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, it makes a statement. It made a statement.
Statements were made.
And it's she has nothing to hide.
Nothing.
So quite. So for my other two castmates, did you have a moment where the character got away from you, surprise you, or was everything much more in control, under wraps, where you thought things were going?
Oh, for Aurelia, I thought everything was cool at under wraps, and then those divorce papers came in. And Aurelia had a small little breakdown. I was like, wow, she's getting a lot more emotional about this than I thought she was going to. Whew, all right. Let's see how it goes. And then, after she gets this one night to have a freak out, and then we're gonna just pull back in a little bit, and then that's basically what happened. Finding out that the divorce papers were actually code didn't help with the pulling it back in, because then she just felt silly. But it was fine. It was fine. She just hopes it'll get swept under the rug and forgotten eventually at some point, maybe. But besides that, she was pretty in control. I wanna say she was her normal aloof, yes, I'm so rich that I don't understand some problems kind of type of person, which I can't understand with at all whatsoever, but it's fun to pretend and have aloof and nappy comebacks at other aloof people that she's definitely better than. Yeah.
I feel like there's some tension between Aurelia and this other personage.
What? Aurelia is. She would definitely never be considered catty. That would just never happen. Never. What? Though she definitely. I think she's one of those people that she might forgive, but she's never going to forget.
She's Sicilian, it's fine.
Let's just say that the certain former roommate from school's ex-husband is gonna not be happy.
Fair. I will say from the outside, one of the things that surprised me because in character creation,
Mhm.
kind of doing this collaboration was just how devoted really Aurelia was to her husband. Like beforehand, it seemed like the relationship, whilst loving, was sort of like that royalty thing where it's like loving enough, but
We've been engaged since we were 2.
we seek things to complete ourselves elsewhere. Whereas we saw during play just like those divorce papers, the shock, the genuine shock, and then the just looking to feel something positive, anything. And then later on with just the elements of the anniversary, the gift giving, the finally seeing one another, and all that, it was much more loving and devoted than I was anticipating.
Well, cool. Because I was like, yeah, they have like an open marriage type thing, but it's really like, oh, my love has been so busy at work that, or like this thing has happened and I just need something to tide me over till I can be with them again, kind of thing. It's like a substitute. It's not quite as good as the thing, because they grew up together. So it was one of those. Yes, it was an arranged marriage, but they do like each other, so it works out. It's convenient.
So, Lynn, did lightning surprise you in any way?
I think she did. As far as like the moment, I think it was when the fact that her brother's wedding was going to be a focus, because I think it kind of set a general direction where like she is, everything kind of coalesced, like she is the baby no matter where she goes, like she's the youngest, and there is a certain like insecurity with that and wanting to like push out from it, that not only is she that in the squad, but she's also that, and having both those things like kind of like bear down on her, kind of crystallize things a little bit. She kind of like inadvertently leaned into it, but also kind of like gave her something to like kind of work with as far as like her relationship with the other people in her squad.
What about you, Pope? What surprised you?
It's interesting, and especially when this game sort of fell into my life and schedule. Because for those that may have been following me, like over on Matt of Seven's channel and playing Mask Sunset City, Barghast, that's a character that completely got away from me. That character from the time started out with as Mythos, just wow, I'm in the back seat here. I have no control over this character, and they just go. Whereas I think Lynn will attest, when we're together on Spy Game, I'm in control of Sherlock. that character is unlock. It's me trying to think tactically, think soundly, and then role play through that character these things that I know and are considering, as opposed to just in the back seat. I'm actually in the driver's seat. With Adam, he fell a bit in the middle. Like I definitely had some control, some consideration, but I was already kind of off balance from the outset, and that made things interesting. The thing that surprised me probably the most with the character is I usually play people that are far more resentful. I play cat.
You? No.
Yeah.
I mean, you do play a wonderful father to a charming daughter.
But like overbearing, vengeful sort of characters, and
Yeah.
as angry as Adam was, he had his reasons.
He did.
He was also very loving and devoted, and that took me off guard. Was just how in that moment when Xavier called, like all, well, surprised, but in that moment all was forgiven, and it was just okay. I've got to help.
I honestly did not know what you were going to do when he did that. Like,
again, that's it took a while, but that's precisely the moment the character got away from me. Is that moment right there. And that was the moment of surprise. Like, okay, no, we still have, he still has feelings and is going to act on those.
I will be honest, from Xavier's perspective, and that's one of the things I try and do, is every NPC I create is a person in this world, right? They have motives and are working towards something. Even the villains might be working towards something in the background that you might not know based on things. Xavier made the call because he knew that you were the best to handle shit. He honestly didn't expect you to... Aw, thank you, Crit, for that sub. He didn't expect you to still care about him, but he expected you to care about Lightning. And that's why he said to get her off the ship, he wasn't asking for help for himself. He was just asking to get his sister off the boat, off the hotel.
Yeah, no, he still had feelings. And that was one hell of a surprise.
Lots of surprises. I guess we should go back. It's my turn again? I think it's my turn again.
Yep.
So, So Cole Drake, in the list of questions he gave me on Discord, asked this question: will the team be running into Kitty again? And I'm going to let each of you give me an answer of what you think. Yes, no, maybe.
We didn't really get to interact much with Kitty, aside from those who were stabbed and burned. But if one goes that far and that hard into a persona and is also a professional killer, I would think and expect, due to A, if the contract's still open, and B, to uphold the professional reputation, that Kitty might cross paths with the group again.
See, I like to think of Kitty as not like that. Her not using a persona, but just as a really fucking eccentric assassin. I think of Kitty as someone who genuinely loves stuffed unicorns and Lisa Franks. Their like spaceship and everything that they exist in. That is my mental image of Kitty. knowing that she's an assassin, just going, yeah, she's just a really weird assassin. That people are like, are we sure this is the, like, you know, if she's going that hard into her likes and interests, she's got to be decent at killing, right? Right? Um, and I'd say maybe, might run into her again. If she knows what's good for her, no. But, you know, people don't always know what's good for them. But yeah, no, that's my headcanon for Kitty. I don't know if it's true or if it was all persona, but 100% headcanon.
PB?
Just loves the pink sparkle. With the frank rainbow.
I don't think, unless it's like in some other way. But as an assassin, I don't think so, because if I recall correctly, she wasn't very good at the stabby part. She was just really good at the movie part. She was very clumsy with the way she approached the situation, and then immediately ran away as soon as things got a little bit unfair for her. So I would say that she was just assassin by chance. Like, the opportunity came and she was like, I need the money, sure, 6 figures, I'll do it. But yeah, that's my thought on Kitty.
Lynn?
I like the fact that there's maybe like you get to see the turncoat again, like in as like an ace that you fight. It's one of that maybe like Calix has to fight at some point. It's good drama. It's personal to a certain degree too. Like, she was like we knew Kitty for a certain amount of time, so there's still a little bit of that personal knowledge. Yeah.
So this is where I tell you dice tell a story. Because
Do dice also say that Kitty dresses like that all the time?
Kitty does dress like that all the time. Those were actually things that she did. I also freely acknowledge that I based Kitty. So again, remember that Starblade Battalion is tied to the Cyberpunk universe.
Mm-hmm.
And in Cyberpunk Red, and from Cyberpunk 2020, there is a private detective / security firm called Danger Gal, Danger Girl. Well, in Cyberpunk 2020, it's Danger Girl, and then it gets updated. The current printing of Cyberpunk Red says Danger Girl, but the next printing will be Danger Gal, because we decided there were things that Artel Saurian decided. There's a whole published about it. Go read up on their website about why. But it's a private detective / security firm founded and run by Megumi Arasaka, who is a granddaughter of the current Arasaka in Cyberpunk Red, the Arasaka family, but she's married to an American, and I forget his last name. So, but when the Fourth Corporate War happened, she's in Florida, working in Florida for her private security firm. And she always wears electronic cat ears. So she stays in the United States from the Fourth Corporate War. So it was like, oh, this is kind of a cool thing. I was like, and I took it to its next level. Kitty technically this was her aesthetic, and this is the kind of thing she was. But she did work for an offshoot of that company that eventually would specialize in assassinations. And Kitty, unfortunately, is very, very dead. She be dead.
Oh.
Because if you will remember, Adam...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Adam and Rex both attacked the mech. And Adam blew the fuck out of it.
Oh, that's right.
And then I rolled, because here's the thing is, she had an escape pod, so I rolled, but she nat 1'd on the roll for the escape pod.
Oh.
It's like,
Kitty.
bye. Kitties. So you will, whoever, Kitty is...
I am glad that is all her aesthetic.
Kitty's been dead for...
For a bit. Apparently death is a proper call sign. Okay.
Oh.
Makes me happy that that's just how her actual room was, and that it wasn't a persona.
Nope, that was
always my headcanon.
That was just all her. And so for those of you who want to know, if we look up, I would need the Mekton Zeta core, because there is an actual. I need my. Oh, I know what page it's on. So there is a thing if your mech is damaged and you need to eject. There is an ejection table. emergency ejection table. So you roll your reflexes plus a d10. And she rolled a nat 1, and her mech reflexes weren't that good because she was an assassin, not a mech pilot. So on a 1 to 6, if your result is a 1 to 6, your options are
extraordinarily bad.
you are vaporized without knowing what hit you. And if you're
Everything's-
7, you get to scream and feel some pain before you go. Lucky you. She was in the 1 to 6. She was vaporized instantly.
Everything was going great, and then it's like nothing. Cool.
Yep, cool. Cool. Exactly.
Blaze of Glory got her.
Yeah. Yeah, the dice made the call on that one. It was like, oh, she's going to roll for the emergency. Well, fuck. Bye, kitty. It's like, oh, you haven't seen her. You aren't going to see her.
It was gonna be messed up either way. I think either like she turned around and fought, like it wasn't gonna go great either.
Particularly as she wasn't in her own mech at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really. That was just a pure transport ride. That was her ride off the boat, effectively. For other reasons. Well, I asked a question. Well, Coldrake asked Coldrake's question. And it's your turn.
Don't inhale your beverage. That's just a PSA. That's just
Yeah,
good
that's
advice.
that's just general good life advice. Anyone else has one? Because I've got a barrel full. So this being, we all have our influences when it comes to character creation and genre. When I know how the life path system definitely takes you for a ride, as we've mentioned previously, but what were some of like the influences that you brought to the character and brought with you to the game? Whether it's print media, film, music, etc. What sort of influences helped shape these characters?
I mean, I went with just like every media that I've had for like, not even like a lot of Gundam, a lot of like macro, a lot of anime, but also like every Starfighter thing I can think of, like the old X-Wing series, the Wing Commander things. I thought about those when I basically my idea for Advantages, I really like, I have in quarantine like watched so much Gundam stuff, and every prominent woman pilot does not have a good, and I just wanted to have like someone that was going to be, prominent, but just not like the kind of sacrifice case.
You wanted
Not the standard tropes of they go mad, they die terribly, or they die sadly.
Yes.
And so basically you wanted to take a Voltron pilot and stick them in Gundam.
Yes.
Original Voltron, not the reboot, because as good as the reboot is, the original was better. Even as chopped up as it is. Thank you, Hawkeye. PB, what about you?
I guess it was just an amalgamation of trying to have like the very hot essence of like, I don't know, like Sailor Jupiter or something like that, but also be like absolutely just so not cool in the way that, like, I don't know, like I don't have like a specific character in mind, but it was always just like the shorter, angrier, wild hair character that is in like every anime. Trying to also have just like that like annoying younger sibling energy. Because I myself am an only child, but I'm trying to understand like how it works, how siblings work. Because I've seen a lot of like TikToks being like, it's like, oh, you can always tell who like the only child writers are because it's always like, oh hey bro, oh hey sis, and it's like that's not how like siblings work. And so I also try to just bring like that kind of energy into the character of being the technically younger of the twins. Um and have that like influence a little bit of just being a little bit more annoying in the way a sibling is. Um and yeah, that's like kind of like the character influences I had, just like Sailor Jupiter and then just the obnoxious side characters.
What about you, Lindy?
So, I didn't really. I kind of just let her life path do a lot of the inspiring and the character making, but I did have some thoughts on like, okay, if she was a character in an anime. I actually haven't watched a lot of mech animes. I've seen a lot of sci-fi animes, like they're I don't know all the names of the characters, but there was a character in Star Blazers that I was
Yeah,
pulling some
yeah, that's
inspiration
you
from.
know what I got that thing. I think I when I think of real, I think of like that style, like that Leiji Matsumoto art style, like
Yeah, so I took some inspiration from, like some Star Blazers characters, but also like if Urza from Fairy Tail was a support character instead of a fighter and really, really rich. Like just kind of that like, yes, I'm
I see
smart,
that.
I'm calm, I'm collected, I'm cool. Because she had 10 cool. Cool was her best stat. Um, but she has her moments of like, oh, strawberry cake. So, just that kind of thing. So that I guess that would be the generic inspiration. I definitely wanted to be that yes, I'm the person on the ship who supports you mech people 110%. It's my job to relay any and all information to you and make sure things are organized. So I had a lot of fun exploring the support type character. It just happened to be aloof and rich. It just happens.
So Pope,
Yes.
what were your inspirations?
Um, we'll go from least to the most. So for me, like there's tons of different mecha media. Again, I've played so many mech games. So a lot of the previous stuff I brought forward. Um, and then like American cartoons, sort of like Exo Squad. I got a
yeah.
big bit of Exo Squad here, and that was one of my major influences. Also, with kind of like the mech design, was very reminiscent of Exo Squad, where it's
Yeah.
like you've got two weapons, you have two weapon systems maybe, and then also sort of the well, this is the first time I would be playing any sort of character that would qualify as Bishonen. So that was definitely those influences existed in the characterization. And so trying to bring forth stuff, surprisingly enough, from like Ronin Warriors and a little bit of Yu Yu Hakusho. Sort of mixed in this character, but then the largest influence was Queen soundtrack and Highlander the series in playing Mythos, a character beloved by Prax and myself, um,
So much
including.
so that I made him an NPC in a different game.
But
So-
so much so that with this, I took one of that character's monikers, as they always put Adam somewhere in their name, and then taking the last name of the actor who portrayed Mythos as the last name for this character, and using Watcher as a additional reference, along with Death and Pale Horse, and then a nod to Bon Jovi, which is definitely on his playlist, with Steel Horse for Wanted Dead or Alive. So a lot of rock and roll was other sort of influences. Like if we're going to give this character a soundtrack, it's mostly Queen, Rolling Stones, and Bon Jovi. So
Really good
if you want to,
soundtrack, actually.
if you want to get like in the headspace that I was in with this character, that's where you go.
Ooh, follow up. I'm gonna take this follow up question from Coldrake. Is there a backstory history concerning Watcher's Junker mech and his mega kill weapon? I mean, technically it wasn't a mega kill weapon. The biggest effect was the stun effect on that thing.
There's a number of things that came into Love Must Die. One was I gave myself very specific parameters in mech design, in that I needed to, every single weapon system had to have a song title or lyric associated with it and have it make sense. This took me a couple of days. I'm not going to lie. I mean, we didn't see Purple Rain deployed, which is the anti-missile system. But we saw Blaze of Glory, which, of course, Bon Jovi. And then I was just like, okay, like, what do I do for a melee weapon? And then I was like listening to the soundtrack, and I just heard the phrase from Who Wants to Live Forever, like, love must die. I'm going, that has to be a weapon. And going, and then digging through the book, going, how do I make love must? Oh, this has to kill. This has to be the most brutal thing on this mech. And so rearranging, like, everything got scrapped. The entire mech got scrapped for Love Must Die. And figuring out, okay, I need to make something that, if this gets brought out, is going to kill. It may not, like, Blaze of Glory is designed to connect and do something. Love Must Die is designed to kill. And I think we saw that happen.
Yes. Stun effect weapons are really expensive in build design. For a reason, as you saw.
Yeah. No, like, this thing was, like, half the points were spent in getting the weight down. And the other half the points pretty much went into this weapon. that's where almost all of the mech did. And then for sort of like backstory, I mean, we all rolled for points for our mechs and figuring stuff out with designs and going, okay, so only Rex actually had a military grade frame, which again makes so much sense for Starblade. And going, okay, so this is a repurposed mining mech. Okay, well, when you're repurposing anything for slapdash military purposes, it's not going to be pretty, but you're going to try and make things as effective as possible, like slapping a Ma Deuce on a Toyota. It's super effective. So doing that sort of methodology, like, okay, well, we've got this tiny, light, somewhat quick frame. Let's put all of the good stuff that we can into this bit of a junker and make it run. So putting gravitics in there, putting a laser AMS system, and then, okay, I've got like no room left. What can I do? Well, we can slap a melee weapon on this and one offensive laser system, and that's it. And hell will have used all of the room, all the weight this thing can bear, and still function.
It is a thing. It is a thing. For those of you following along at home, one of the things I did for this game is I made limits on the mechs that my players could design because we were building into the universe. And a lot of almost all Mekton GMs will tell you that one of the things you do is you build limits, and it's actually in the Mekton Zeta book section for the narrator, storyteller, thank you, for that you are supposed to you know, as you're building this world, you know, give some scope and limitations to the players on what this world is like. And so for the Starblade Battalion, it's like you are part of the Starblade Battalion. Nothing you have is brand new. Everything is repurposed. So what I did was I took the concept that there were military grade that they had repurposed because they stole it from somebody else. This was an old colony ship, so there were construction quality mechs, and then there were mining mechs that they got from their plant. That's the other point that we never actually got to see, but in the Starblade, in the actual member of the battalion, thank you, in the actual member of the another part of this fleet that the battalion has, because it's basically just a floating fleet, is this entire third party in this intergalactic chess game going on about whether or not the universe will be destroyed by an intergalactic war. The other major, so there's the Starblade itself, which is a repurposed colony ship to be basically an aircraft carrier for mechs, and then the other major aircraft carrier quality size vessel is a floating asteroid. It is an asteroid that is a ship. You stuck engines in an asteroid. So, oh, well, you're probably going to have mining mechs. So I had all of the players roll for, did they get combat construction or mining? Or combat mining construction, if you're talking about in terms of quality of the structure that you started with and the number of points you could start with. And then it went just random roll, and this kind of really formed how the group kind of coalesced in combat, kind of, which was really interesting. You had Rex with the combat mech. Watcher and Calyx had both repurposed mining mechs that they had done a lot to. And then Lightning had a construction mech. The newbie got the lowest quality mech. I was like, you know what? I can't.
It makes sense. I mean, that made 100% sense.
But it was also something just random rolled. It was like, oh, yeah, this makes total sense, and it is what would have happened, but the dice are what told that story, so, you know, it was great. It meant things were...
It made things a lot more tense because, yeah, Vantage, the Amethyst card does not have that much
Look,
in the wood defenses to it.
You
so
rolled godlike on your evasion. You crit every evasion.
I also put a lot of points in piloting because it's like I'm gonna have to back up. If I get into a fight, this mech is in bad shape, and I like the idea of just having just her piloting, just trying to just make up for the lack of defense, and it was great. I loved.
Yeah. All right, so those were 2 from me. Let me pitch it to the 4 of you then.
I do have another question, kind of jumping off of what we've been talking about, is for those of us who had mechs, what were your mech inspirations in build, or how you went from being this mining mech or combat mech or construction mech into what it became? What were your mech-spirations?
Going back again to Exo Squad, that, like, a lot of those designs looked industrial, and then going more towards my own personal experience, like Battletech and MechWarrior, with those designs where I'll make no secret, I'm a big fan of Solaris 7 and the gladiatorial like storyline that comes out of that world. And a lot of those mechs are just repurposed industrial mechs that are given gladiatorial grade weapons. Like, they might have a couple of lasers, and then they've managed to cobble together this mace that's mech grade so it can go and mess something up. And so that just really made sense. And then I just looked at the Gravitic system and went, I don't have to keep track of so much this makes life easier for me. I'm just going to take this really fancy tech and slap it in here. So also that element of kind of like hot rodding, because I live in the South. There's racetracks not too far from here. That folks, that's their Saturday night. So, you just, yeah, we're going to take this high end Honda engine and we're going to put this on this mom van and see what happens.
So, funny story, totally tangential, but drag races are still a thing up here as well. And if you happened to have a vehicle because your parents, had 2 kids, 2 dogs, and I played sports, and so there were a large number of that, and they wanted a station wagon in the late 90s. There was only one V8 that Corvette was making in 1998, or Chevy was making in 1998. A Corvette V8 engine that they decided to stick in, that you could buy off in 1998, the Chevy Caprice wagon, which a Chevy Caprice was also, a Chevy Caprice and a Ford Taurus were very similar in that they were basically like 4-door sedans that could also be appropriate, that were just kind of generic 4-door sedans. Well, the Chevy Caprice wagon was a station wagon, and ours happened to have a V8 for a Corvette in it. And then we stopped going to like the Chevy dealership to get things done, and the local mechanic, who maybe possibly is also, he builds drag race cars, and that's where I learned to drive and learned to drive stick. So when he told my mother, hey, Miss Donlin, Miss Donlin, do you know what you have in this car? Do you know what you have in this car? Do you know what you have in this car? And my mom goes, no, I turn the engine and it goes. What do you want? You have a Corvette engine in this car. Okay, that's great. What does that mean? It's like, well, you haven't been treating it right. He sport-tuned the Corvette engine in my mother's station wagon. Yes, there was money made when I was in high school and college.
Okay.
Because when you roll up to a line in a black 4-door station wagon, everybody's got this souped-up Supra or M3, and they're like, yeah, we're all that. And I'm like, you got beat by a station wagon. It's fine. Sorry. Tangent. But fun tangent.
So, Lynn, what was your exploration?
I like the idea of like, my favorite designs in like mechs are like the grunt suits, like the ones that like are like the enemy suit, or the ones that just get blown up a lot. So I was imagining like from like Gundam Wing, like the Leos and stuff like that. That's sort of like but just like souped up a little bit, just like not necessarily like thrusters, but like the maneuvering, the small, just to make, because I really wanted to do a mech that duels, that is better at dueling than anything else, because I think that stuff is cool. I will not say no to a giant robot with a beam saber, just like fighting another one, just having like this giant duel. So that's exactly what I wanted from it. So
PB.
Mine highly inspired by the Zoid series. I love that series when I was growing up, and I will forever love that series. And no matter how cheesy it is now that I'm older. And yeah, I just went into it knowing that I wanted to live up my Zoid fantasy, and I did. And also, this is a little bit in where kind of like the life path took me, although I chose this part of when it came to my jobs, or prior jobs, because I knew that Calix's family was all gone by the time like she left school. I was like, I want her first job to be not only her like, aha, I'm out of boarding school, it's time to rebel, but also the fact of, oh, I'm all alone, you know, what is there now for me? And I used racing, or racer to be kind of like uh, that portion of her life for her. Which also comes with the whole like I'm the famous twin because I was the good racer. Um, and because of that, when it came to the mining mech, I kind of wanted to do kind of like the same thing Pope did, and I wanted to just like trick out this mining mech. But because in my life path or in my job path, I guess, um, I kind of went from like scientist that oh you know I did some mech stuff to like then mech piloting. I was just like oh what if this was just the minor thing I used before? I think Prax proposed it when we were doing character creation, and I was like, "That's a great idea because that's totally something Calix would do. Just like take this thing she had been driving that she knows how to maneuver so well, and just like trick it out, but very much like a kid still in school. You don't have that much money to trick out like a shell or anything. So it very much has just been a process. So when creating Cobalt, it was very much a lot of armor on the inside and not the fastest thing in the world, but like getting there, you know? And so that's very much where my mexpiration came from, Zoids and my career path.
Details. Interesting. All the Zoid fun. I think that's a good place for us to take the break for the evening. Time for some more refreshments. Stretch, take a break, refresh yourself. And then when you come back, we have, I have more questions. There's more dirt to tell. There's more secrets. I'm sitting on a pile of them, so we'll find out. But we'll see you in a few. Bye. We have so many interesting things going on in the backstage. I just want you all to know. I would also like to post another spoiler warning for the entire series of Starblade Battalion. If you haven't checked it out or haven't seen all of it, the link for the YouTube VODs is in the chat. Spoiler warning here. Let's see, wait.
Here there be spoilers.
Yes, big freaking things. Wait, we ended on your question.
There's also a kitty cat.
Okay, so then I guess we will go back to my list of questions.
There we go.
So this is from Coldrake, who wanted to know, we found out about Aurelia's subdermal armor.
Yeah.
What other, cyberware surprises was Princess been hiding?
Oh, so she had subdermal armor, scratchers, because, it's important. Midnight Lady,
Yeah,
biome.
which okay, look, I need you all to understand that I mod for the Artelsaurian Discord, and I must remind you all of the official Artelsaurian position when it comes to the Midnight Lady and Mr. Stud. They have never been defined on what exactly they are. Enjoy them to your fun, and don't ask us.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, just simple stuff. Scratchers, subdermal armor, Midnight Lady, and those were her 3 non-fashion wear cybernetics. And then she had a biomonitor because it's important. A skin watch and a data link.
Yeah.
So
I know. We'll come back to Pope because I know there'll be differences when it comes to discussion for cyberware with Pope for reasons, important reasons, most of them from where you're from. But PB, what did Calyx have cyberware besides the data link that everybody got?
Just a skin watch. She didn't have anything else.
Lynn?
Vantage had strength mods just to I rationalized that in the way of you could be pulling some heavy G's in it, just better way to kind of withstand it. And then I took the data link and some reaction time mods.
Yes. Data chips, all the data chips. And then hey Pope.
Hey.
So for those of you who don't know, most of the cyberware in the way this world is set up, the corps have the major colonies, system colonies, out in the Pleiades. The near planet colonies, Mars, Venus, Luna, those are all Earth sphere. All the corps, you're more likely to get all the major cyberware in corp space. So, what did Adam have?
Because his family moved to a little place called Oddball in Asgard. He had to have extensive cyberware installed so he would not die. So enhanced antibodies, independent air supply, and nasal filters.
See, I thought about the independent air supply or nasal filters, but then I thought Midnight Lady.
So I designed it so that Adam could exist in space temporarily.
Makes sense.
Well, especially when you're, on a planet that used to be a pirate headquarters that you're trying to turn into a colony.
Yep. Took it from Ravagers. You don't plan to give it back, do you? No. So yes, I let the players all have 3 cyberware aside from the data link because welcome to Cyberpunk Future. think it's your turn.
I want to know more about these rumors.
Okay, which rumor do you want
Oh.
to know more about? Which rumor?
Well, since Pope made an audible reaction, let's go with his rumors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Well,
Adam sleeps better in 0G than Earth standard gravity, or Adam has survived being spaced.
While he has the capability to survive being spaced, he has not been spaced.
Ah.
However, yes, he does sleep better in 0G than standard Earth gravity. It's just more comfy. You can lay the blanket all around you and you just float. It sounds fantastic. Why the hell not? It means I'd probably toss and turn less. So that also, and having a legitimate reason to have 0G as high as he does, it just sort of called out.
Mm-hmm. Then I guess the question, we should go back to these rumors for Vantage.
Mhm.
Vantage's parents were exerted influence to have her not be on combat duty and post-graduation military duty. Or Vantage was caught and disciplined for making out in the training mech pilots when in the academy.
I know which one I hope is true.
So,
Right.
which one do you hope is true, Lindy?
Well, obviously the cotton discipline for making out and training mech cockpits, because that's
Yeah.
something I, Lindy, would have done
Yes,
as
that's-
a person.
That is the...
That is the true one. Because it made me laugh when Rex did that in this back. It's like, oh, that's that.
Think about it.
So there's a family thing.
That's a family thing.
Family thing.
Look, I'm going to
Love
leave
it.
it. I'm going to leave it to Adam to answer whether or not he's ever made out with Xavier in a mech.
These poor Max.
Not fully assembled, but yeah.
Definitely a family thing.
Definitely a family thing.
These the poor Max. Like, get no, get you horny pilots, get out of there, get out.
It's a water bottle on hand at all times. Stop it.
Speaking of thirst,
Yes.
so there is a running joke, not just with this particular cast, but just in general with Praxis cast. Why are the NPCs so hot?
Wait.
Why not?
Wait. No, you need to say this appropriately. You need to picture a gentleman who's still taller than 6 feet with a bright red beard going, God damn, why are the NPCs so hot in this game?
We love you, Billy.
Billy.
So for those of you who are playing along at home, I started Pinterest is a deep dark hole, and
It is.
when I started, it started actually with Go West was the first one I did this on, but I started it with like a Google Doc, and that was less easy, but I would made a list of all of the face claims for people that made sense for NPCs that I'm putting into, and I also realized that I run a lot of games where I'm expecting my players to interact with a large number of NPCs, right? In Go West, I'm populating a small town. In Nightfall, I'm dealing with all of the kindred from the city of New York. Not that they got to all of them, but I did cast a whole bunch of them, including Lindy, who was the sheriff, but you never actually met. You just met her under-sheriffs. Then you had like Witcher Road's Home and Blue Rose and all of the NPCs for the regiment, and then all of the NPCs on a floating spaceship. You just have so many people that you're going to be interacting with on multiple occasions that I need to keep track of, but I also recognize that I, as a player, take so many notes, but I don't always expect all of my other players to take notes like that. So this was an easy way for me to go, I can just take these as a Google slide. This is the face claim image that I have deep dived into Pinterest and become a thing. Look. We could talk about my Pinterest for this particular game. The Pinterest board for for Starblade Battalion Memories is currently sitting at 73 pins of characters, mostly models, designs, clothing, and aesthetics. So it's like, okay, I recognize that, and then I discovered that that making it a Google slideshow meant I could give you the image, and I have a copy of the document with a bunch of other notes about that NPC or that villain or other things until you come across them. But once you come across them, I kind of edit out information, but then I share what you know about them and what they look like with you, and then it's a good place for you all. This way, you as players might make other notes. You as players make other notes about this NPC, about your reaction to them, about how you're feeling about them, but I'll be giving you all of the information that all of the players have, like Lorian Messer, for example, person that he is. No, we can be honest and answer. Lorian Messer is an asshole.
Yes.
Fuck that guy.
But not actually, because you
look like grumpy godling. I know exactly where that quote came from. I will totally embrace season 1 of Supergirl. Thank you. No, but I mean they are. I try and that's the other thing is I do try and make sure, particularly for games that I'm building in worlds of various places, there are many different types of people out there, and there are many different types of places you could be, and finding images online. I also try for non-mechanical reasons about why they might all be attractive, because I try and limit them all to either professional photo shoots or models, so I don't become a creeper on somebody's like personal Facebook, Twitter shit that, you know, this was published somewhere for public consumption, and how it ended up on Pinterest is an entirely separate matter, but it was originally put out there with the intention of being for public consumption, not necessarily without copyright, but for people to enjoy and to view, rather than just being like, ooh, I'm going to take somebody's picture off Facebook, because don't do that, that's creepy. So, you know, that's your generic answer. Why are they so hot? Because I don't want to be a creeper online. And why not?
Fair enough.
The universe is full of attractive people in many, many different ways, descriptions, possibilities. I like to give a little bit of something for everyone.
Fair.
Also, sometimes I'll just find a picture and go like, no, this is who this is. Like, when I was doing the regiment, and we had Trooper's lieutenant, and he created a personal nemesis, and I was like, oh wait, you need somebody who you can just scream about punching in the face. Give me a minute. And I went and I found a picture, and this is like, and here, and everyone's like, yes, I look at this person and I just want to punch him in the nose. Or when you described Xavier for the first time, Pope, and then we figured out that it was also Vantage's brother. And then eventually also Rex's brother, I was like, oh, this image right here, and all three of you were like, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
Coldrake, I turned off the Willoughby counter right now, although it's also not spelled right, so hold on, did I say? Oh no, it's not off. Lieutenant Valentine's cursed Willoughby 49 times. We all know that if Trooper was in chat right now, he'd be cursing Willoughby. It's fine. It's an implant response. And then I was like, okay, well, let's just go with that. So there you are. Any other questions about the thirst on the channel?
No, it's by design.
Look, there's nothing wrong with appreciating and not being creepy. You know, appreciate respectfully and don't be creepy.
Stay hydrated, folks.
All right, I have a question.
Yes.
Numerically, like since I don't know, numerically, how hot was our squad?
Oh.
I can answer
Okay.
that question.
Yeah.
Because I have access to everybody's character sheets.
I'm a 9,
So
but I'm a
9.
10 and cool.
So look, we're relating this based on attractiveness
score.
is the score.
Yeah,
We're
it's
gonna
just-
base this on attractiveness. Are we doing
Oh,
this based
dear.
on the average of attractiveness? Hold
Yeah,
on.
sure.
Yeah, do
Let's
it.
average. Let's figure out the average attractiveness of our squad.
This is gonna be great. I just want y'all to know. Okay.
We rolled for these stats, folks.
Yes, by the way,
Yeah.
attractiveness is actually a stat in this game. Oh, well, Rowan will mess up, means I actually have to do this by not just head. In 8.2?
Yeah.
Scale of 1 to 10, 8.2.
8.2.
Mm-hmm.
We're
There
the
you
hot
go.
squad.
Yeah.
Welcome to anime game. Coldrake with another one. Since Princess was specially enhanced due to her riches husband's status, is it safe to assume Rosie was another surprise package waiting to be revealed?
Oh.
Not as far as I know. She was just my maid bot who did all my menial labor that Princess could not be bothered nor asked to do. Like
And was
laundry.
Rosie a wink and nod towards the Jetsons?
Oh, Rosie was definitely a wink and a nod towards the Jetsons.
There was a part during that chase out of the hotel. I was just like, please, let Rosie make it.
If anyone, just let Rosie
Just
make
like
it.
Rosie.
Because Rosie was the one in back. I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, just in case we
Rosie
need
was
to take
carrying the
cover.
luggage.
Yeah, it's like,
Well, Rosie had to carry my luggage, so I'm gonna put it in the front. That'd be unsightly.
protect the clothes.
Yes. The person carrying the luggage does not walk in front.
This is
No.
all true. This is all true. Also, the luggage would make really great armor. I guarantee you that luggage is armor plated.
Probably, yeah. I mean, those outfits are expensive.
One of a
More than
kind,
some
someone.
people
You don't
make
want to
in
get
a
rid
year.
of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
10 years, maybe. You know, they're expensive outfits.
Entire ships.
Entire ships.
Look, you can
told
already get ballistic quality fiberglass luggage. It's very lightweight. It's very nice. Samsonite makes it. Hashtag not sponsored.
And survive re-entry. No.
I don't know. I could see it, but I don't know.
Space.
In the future, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
You would need the ceramic upgrade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Insulate those clothes.
Blade 'em.
So, Coldrake asks for the entire cast, did this game go the way you expected, or did it jump the tracks before the finale?
100% thought this game was gonna go a different direction.
It was going on par until the episode before the finale. We were like, wait, what?
Yep.
Well, before we got to the hotel, like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, before we got to the hotel.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah, no, like everything was going as was expected, and then the hotel happened,
Mm-hmm.
and that was not what we were all thinking.
Till the very end, I was not expecting any of it.
Yeah.
It was an absolute roller coaster.
It was wild.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you. So now, okay, as a follow-up then for me, this is from me. After you now have gone through the whole thing, if you look back, do you see, would it still have been a surprise?
Yes,
Yeah.
parts of it definitely. Because there's many different ways to tell a story, but the one that we're all sort of accustomed to is typically the one that you see like on TV, not even film, TV, where they give you a number of ready cues, so you don't necessarily see the entire picture, but you are able to piece together 60% of the picture before you arrive. This was not the case. This was where you got, I want to say, 40% of the picture, but when you arrive, you like all you got was, if this is a puzzle, you got the exterior. That's it. You got the frame, you didn't get the body until right there before the end. And then even then, the end still had some surprises. So no, like even like with everything and playing it back through, what was anticipated is not where we ended up.
Alex and her situation, given the roles and information given based off those roles when I saw the photos and such, I wasn't expecting it. Even going back, I wouldn't have expected it. Yeah. I don't think anything could have tipped me off to that, except maybe like calling one of the people who was in the wedding party and being like, "Hey."
Which was an option.
Yeah, I was just a little angry.
Well, like we there were so many things that kind of came sideways.
Yeah.
Between Alex, and then the parent reveal
That was
Oh, good.
was just like over the head, not where we were expecting. Like, I knew that there was going to be friction, but I didn't expect like guns and swords getting drawn.
I wasn't
level of
expecting no
friction.
conversation immediately stabbed.
I thought
kind
the
of
friction.
friction.
That threw me because I thought the friction was going to come from Xavier. I think.
Hmm.
Do you want
I
a
was-
little bit of why there was no talking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I do and don't, because there's a part of me that is loving this because I do enjoy some closure,
Yes.
but also I'm not gonna lie, I want another season, but that's just me.
There'll I can give you this little bit, and it wouldn't be a spoiler even if we do get to season 2 at some point. You probably wouldn't. The immediate reaction is think about who came into the room.
Oh.
Who came into the room together.
Oh no.
So
Oh no.
So you told your parents you were bringing a date.
That's.
And the fainting. Yeah, that explains the fainting.
That makes sense.
I figured that was why the fainting happened, but I don't know.
So
I thought there was gonna be a talk of like, so you can't date this guy because.
but it's also that's for her, but for him it's like, oh no, it doesn't matter whether they were actually dating or not. What did they say to each other?
Mm-hmm.
I can't have the two of them. I can't have him talking. Because Rex knows things. He may not know he knows things, but he knows some things. Particularly for where he is and what's going on and where they are. I just can't have this key. This is a threat I have to remove immediately. But yes, there were like multiple options of them walking into that room, and it all depended on who was going where with what.
Yeah, so like wrestling would have ended up being the least
Yeah.
Bringing the Ravager was the path of least
least
resistance.
resistance. Yeah.
Known. Who would have guessed?
He's entrepreneurial, go-getter,
Really is.
So, like,
he has a position of authority. He's got a good job. He's got security.
Is security.
It's like, I can't say he's got a good family, but we could work with this.
They're no longer in the picture, so it's less to worry about.
Exactly. Look, there's a reason why mom's reason for fainting was not the same reason for dad pulling a knife.
Reasonable.
But both of which were because of the fact that Vantage walked into what was supposed to be a private family meeting.
Yeah. It was a private family meeting. Only family were there.
only family.
That's so true.
Family meeting. What the?
Exactly.
Ooh.
Only family were there. It was a private family meeting, and you had already informed everyone that you were bringing a +1 to this wedding. And then, oh wait, you're bringing your +1 to your private family.
Oh
But
god,
it's only family.
She inadvertently punked her family real hard.
Yes. Yes.
They
To the
still
family.
will probably not know. Like, oh, what the?
Like, look, if we get to season 2, I'll give it a when if. Okay. There might be future answers about what will happen, because as of right now, you left the hotel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got out. Yeah,
Yeah.
That I think the wedding's on hold.
when he's in temple, like one of
So,
Put it out
the
there.
groom's not there.
the groom left.
So,
The groom's busy.
Oh my.
The groom is
For 6 months.
Very busy.
That's gonna be
Uh,
a hell of a like tabloid story about what went down with this wedding. Just
But look,
oh yeah.
Holy Luke and Leia Batman.
not wrong.
Not
Um,
wrong.
But still, there are a number of lingering questions. Some I want to leave lingering, and other ones I'm tempted to poke at.
Oh, poke
like-
at. If I think that it might show up in the in a possible season 2, I will tell
Like-
you.
Again, one of the things that was brought up, and again, you are a fan of Charles Sory and their worlds and their history, was the High Rollers.
Yes.
And we got a tidbit that the captain might have been or is a part of that world and that society. And it's interesting to also note that during this ongoing conflict, what the High Rollers' positions are.
Well, I think that gets so for me. It's one of those you have to. It was me rolling out things that would kind of as progression would go. So for like in Cyberpunk, the High Rollers are orbital planet, orbital space stations. Basically, Africa controls space. And every time Europe decides, well, during the Third Corporate War, when the Europeans were being fucktards to everyone, and that is my technical term for what happened in Europe during the Third Corporate War and eventually into the Fourth Corporate War. The Fourth Corporate War just fucks everything up, and Militech and Arasaka just whatever. Basically, what the High Rollers say is, we don't need your shit up here. Keep your shit down there. Oh, you want to launch spaceships? No. We have giant pile drivers. We will fling at you to keep you from bringing your weird ass European bullshit up here. Keep it out. So then it was like me going, okay, so well at some point that happens, but it doesn't continue because the High Rollers will eventually let the Starblade and other colony ships leave and expand the colonies, and then the Corps will eventually take over the colonies, and then eventually Earth will contain the Earth sphere. So I was like, okay, well, the Starblade itself was a colony ship. So who would be like the first people of communication? What would be the basic, first people who would start colony exploration would probably be the High Rollers, right? Because they're the ones who already can train some sort of ability to have interstellar travel, even if it's just interplanetary between Earth and the platforms, and then further out into Luna. So I came up with the idea that and particularly because I was like, I want to know more about them. And Mike Pondsmith writes such beautiful. If you get a chance, this is hashtag not sponsored, but if you get a chance, go on to Artel Sorian's site. They give a bunch of free DLCs you can download. A couple of them are the stories that Mike Pondsmith has written about, particularly the cyberpunk world that he's written. And the big chunk of Cyberpunk Red, he wrote like 6 short stories talking about the world and the characters and the people that are living in the time of the Red. The man is a brilliant sci-fi author. And I can say that because because he didn't write Witcher, his son does. But Mike writes cyberpunk, Mekton, brilliant sci-fi stuff. So I was like, okay, so let's expand this even further out. And I was like, who would be really cool to have as a descendant of the High Rollers would be one of the captains of what was a colony ship, because it was now just a vessel that was, doing mining and all of these things. Yes, the Pondsmiths are a good writing family. Also, Lisa is a fabulous person. That's just me. And so I was like, okay, so wouldn't it be cool? And then I was like, wait, there's this piece of art that I found. Somebody did of basically Idris Elba as a sci-fi pirate, which is the art that I was like, this would be the captain of the Starblade. Like, Mekton was written in the 90s. I am taking this as a modernization. I can change the ethnicity of who these people are. This right here, this gentleman would be the captain that I choose of a colony world ship that you are now going to basically build an armada, mostly out of smugglers and people who are leaving both the Corp fleets and the Earth Sphere fleets, and you're gonna have the big enough balls to stand there and say, you know what, y'all are gonna fuck everything up and kill us all. I'm going to put myself in the middle and stop this from happening. Spacer rogue pirate who can also stand there and say, fuck no, turn around. My options were Han Solo or Idris Elba, and I was like, let's go with Idris Elba.
Good call.
Yeah.
So then it was like, okay. But that means that there are other things that you know, the high rollers are out there, and they've evolved, so.
Excellent.
Anyone else have a question?
Along with that, a little bit, tangentially to that, out of all of us, how many enemies did we all have?
Enemies? So you had 2. Watcher technically had 1.5. Rex didn't roll any enemies.
Same here.
Lindy didn't roll any enemies. And Lynn didn't roll any enemies either. So it was like a total of 4. Well, 3.5.
So just Pope and I.
Yeah.
It just
Happens.
that your enemies kind of.
You're good enemies.
I think mine worked.
Yes, they did.
I think they worked very hard.
No, I
At
like
least
that.
one of them worked really hard. She wanted you dead.
Pope, what were your empathy? What was your empathy stat?
Empathy? Let's see here, 7.
Oh,
Huh.
you're empathetic. See, I was uncool and empathetic. I was just really hot and smart.
I loved that. I got that vibe and I loved it.
No. Again, this was a strange character for me to play because, like,
Yeah.
intelligence 10, education 6, attractiveness 10, cool 2, reflexes 6, empathy 7, tech ability 6, luck
My
10.
tech was 2.
So,
Luck is a brilliant stat. You'd be
Was
surprised.
very good. Luck was very
Comes
useful.
in handy.
Okay, look, there are people in the Talsorian Discord in multiple channels who are like, luck should be your dump stat, and I'm like, ooh, no.
Oh.
Good luck.
Oh.
I mean, I have played unlucky characters and I have played lucky characters. In the entire range. It really depends on what you want to play and the story that you want to tell. One is you get to play a heroic character. The other is that you have decided to play Fiasco in whatever system it is that you're running. Because that you're not playing the game, you're playing Fiasco. It's just got a different coat of paint. Because it's going to end poorly for you. And you're playing a Coen Brothers character. Be prepared.
So, Coldrake has a question. Did the called chess moves refer to actual actions going on in the story battle? In the story, yes. And now all of you have faces like you're trying to remember what
I'm just sitting here thinking, wow, it'd be great if I actually knew how
Yeah.
to play chess.
I'm like, joke's on you. I don't
Di-
even know how to play.
I don't know how to play chess. Yes. High five, digital high five. I'm like, yes, a move on the chessboard has been made. Just nod like you understand what any of this means.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Probably not good.
Good.
No,
All these-
it's never good, but it's
See,
fantastic.
I just go, oh, it's not good.
Yeah.
This is not good.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Mm.
Be cautious. Yes. No. No. I don't
Oh.
know. Be scared. Be scared. Be scared. It's like, oh no.
Always be scared.
Yeah. It's like,
Hawkeye, I will tell you now that they did not come in on an opening. That's not a spoiler. That's just a statement of fact. Oh, you think there was a gambit? Technically, there was already a castling that happened in the middle of the battle. Castling, okay, for those of you who don't play chess,
I just assumed someone was either building sand castles, ordering White Castle,
Okay.
or,
so
getting a
the-
new real estate.
castle, your rook or your castle, and
Sure.
you can slide in a straight line right to left or
Cool.
front to back. It can only go straight lines, so it kind of has to go like that.
Right.
But it can't go on the diagonals. The only time your king piece can move more than one square is when all of the pieces between it and the castle on the back row are removed and you switch their positions. Well, technically you move it to, and then you move the castle to the other side of it, but effectively it's the only time you can move it more than once. Yeah. So you take it from here and you go like this. So you basically have positioned, and usually it will happen when you're in a threatening situation, so you're moving your king out of a threatening situation, because otherwise why would you do it? But in this particular instance, what Cassandra had done is she had done, it's castling is the only time two pieces can move at the same time. And it's the only time the king can really move more than two squares. It's kind of funny. To the left or right, and the rook then moves in front. There you go. Depending on direction. So when Adam attacked the mech that he was convinced was Cassandra, because over the loudspeaker, she made a comment. However, what he didn't know is that she castled, because you're in the middle of the only reason he confirmed that it was Cassandra in the mech is because she made an announcement over the public speakers. But nobody checked to see no one rolled to see if that was actually from that mech. And what she had done is she had switched positions, and she had moved herself into a position. This is if you watch the battle. She had moved herself into a position cloaked directly next to Adam's mech, and then spent 2 rounds while he was attacking what he was convinced was Cassandra, laying in wait and planning an ambush, because ambush in this game is fun.
that other mech pilot was like, probably like, why is this other one going so hard? Like, fighting so hard?
Technically, that other mech pilot was dead in the first round. It's okay.
Yeah, that was that.
But I was still using Cassandra's stats, so I was rolling that she was fine. And she was fine. The poor schmuck in that mech that Adam was slowly
got
taking
stunned.
apart.
Yeah, that thing just stopped working after and it just got.
He was dead. Exactly. For it's easier to get checkmated if you're trapped in a corner. Exactly. And you can only do it once, which is why. So.
Cool.
It's a very interesting move to do, but it was like, ha 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 ha. And that was the other comment about when he finally rolled for perception, that somebody was, that was what I was trying to say, is like, somebody decided to make a pawn a queen. Which is the other thing you can do in chess. If you can get your pawn to the far side of your opponent, of the board, that pawn now becomes a queen. And it basically, if your queen had already been taken, you replace the pawn with the queen and bring the queen back onto the board. If not, now you have a second queen on the board. And the queen piece is actually the most versatile and useful piece on the board, because it can move in any direction, any amount of squares it chooses. It is the most fun. I mean, technically you can bring back any others, but why would you want to? You want the queen. It's so you're effectively that was the call that she made. So, I mean, I've done it, Coldrake. I have actually checkmated with 2 queens. Any other questions about that wonderful chess illusions that I was making?
Not the chess,
Oh.
but no, yes and no. I am more interested at this point with we know the influence for our characters, but what were some of your influences, Prax, in the creation of some of our more noteworthy NPCs, especially characters like Socket, Yukihara, Ruslan? Where did these characters come from?
So Yukihara is half an inspiration. Okay, let's go with that. We'll go with that one first.
Super hot.
Half inspiration from that art, and half just his general attitude is from an amalgamation of all of the mess officers that I knew growing up. I am a military brat. I grew up, my dad was in the Coast Guard when I was growing up. I spent an excessive amount of my childhood living on base and being on base and hanging out with various individuals. I mean, there are sometimes there are just some, look, there are some characters that are involved in the United States military at all branches, at all levels. And and some of them are truly interesting, but mess cooks are among them. They don't give a fuck. And my dad would tell the story. His first deployment, or not deployment, because that technically means he was being severed, but his first duty station was on a buoy tender out of Maine. A buoy tender out of Portland, Maine. And as a lower ranked officer, because he had just gotten out of the Coast Guard Academy, it was his first duty station, he's the low man on the totem pole, he was supposed to be there to perform inventory with the mess cooks. And one of the things that they always was part of the inventory were these 3 48-ounce cans of fruit cocktail. Look, you're supposed to do these once a month, and these same 3 48-ounce cans of fruit cocktail had been on this inventory. Now, this is 1974 when my dad is doing this. 73, 74. Have been on this ship for 20 years. And they just keep getting rotated. And eventually somebody asked the mess cooks, well, don't you have to use it? Don't you want to? Well, no, because then we would have to get new ones. Now we know on the counter we have 3. There are 3 here. We are full inventory. We're done. I mean, you're just. So there we go. I just took like a bunch of these kind of stories and guys that I knew growing up. I was like, Yukihara. And then I looked at that picture, I was like, that looks like a bunch of those guys I knew growing up. Yes, Coldrake, they were Korean conflict rations, which is not surprising because it was the United States Coast Guard. Remembering, of course, that the United States Coast Guard are the only United States military branch that goes into Vietnam still carrying M1s. And the only reason they get M16s is because the other branches of the military, the Pentagon is like, what do you mean we have to order separate ammunition for deployment overseas? There's an entire branch of our military that's using it. Okay, no, they have to be on the same ammunition. That's Socket. Socket was half inspiration from the picture and half inspiration. I decided this when we were playing, and I said this when we were playing, that their mother's maiden name was Rostelli. And I basically was, because I'm also playing a Cyberpunk Red game, and my Cyberpunk Red character is Trins Rostelli, and she is really nice, and she grew up in a nice city, and she honestly, like, people are really, really nice, and you just have to appreciate them, and, 9 times out of 10, just because they're gonna, you just gotta be nice. And you waste not, want not. Hey, Anita. And she's right. People are very nice. Also, if they're mean and they're shooting at my friends, I have a combat RV with a combat plow and a NOS system, and I will run your ass over. So that's like, I was playing that, and I was like, look, wouldn't it be, because it's the same timeline, same system, I was like, it would be great to just take that to the next level. And then I was like, when we started naming the episodes and we started getting into this with the rock playlist, I was like, oh, this is who this is. This is classic rock, tech, all of that. Here, each of you ask me about an NPC and I will tell you. Or, Lynn, pick one.
We'll just go with wrestling.
I needed a security officer, and I was flipping through Cyberpunk art. I saw him. I was like, ooh, wait. This is someone that the captain picked up who was a former Ravager. He's gonna be Russian, 'cause why not? And I was like, I've watched a lot of 1980s B movies, spy movies, all of those things. So it was like Russian soldier expat who leave, the Russian soldier defector character, very large, boisterous, very much, will fuck everybody's shit up because he, is an extra fighter kind of character, but, really is here now and supporting for the here now. That's who that was. PB?
How about Rougeau?
Rougeau?
Yeah.
Rougeau Lin. So, funny story about me. I watch a lot of international media.
Mm-hmm.
I watch a lot of Chinese dramas. I watch a lot of Chinese dramas. And that's basically a character taken from one of the Chinese dramas I was watching. I was just like, yeah. Xavier would have, the family would have a level of private security, right? Whether Xavier did or not, whether it was because he's, he wouldn't necessarily need it for security's sake, but he's of that rank that you would still have a bodyguard when he's not on a battlefield kind of thing, basically. So I was like, oh, where are we going with this? I know. Let me find. And then I had this art piece, and I was like, no, this is his bodyguard, and this is a bodyguard who will tell him the fuck off. Never slept with him, is the one thing. It was like was never. It was like their relationship was never sexual because she is one of the few people who literally will look at him and go, "You're being a moron right now." But she also, there are other backstory things, but I was like, I was watching a particular Chinese drama, and I was like, this right here I'm taking, and I will even tell you that the character's name ended up being I took the character's name too. So that will tell you that it is a female wuxia series, and she did kick ass. Lindy.
Tell me about my husband.
Okay, look, you told me his name was Sterling.
Argento
Sterling.
Sterling. Yes, basically Sterling Silver. Yes, that's his name. Yes.
And I was like, oh no, wait, I found this art. And then I was like, oh no, wait. He is a Gundam character. You know, he is Zex Marquez, Tres Crescenda, every Gundam imperialist uniform, you know, military styling, but he has to be a good guy. And I was like, that's what I wanted. I wanted to go counter convention with this, right? Because if you saw this, for those of you who are in chat, and you can look at the NPC list, if you look at this picture of this character, if this character showed up in a Gundam series, no matter what is the first thing that you would see this character, and what's the first thing you would think?
Hot.
Second thing.
This mech has a whip.
I mean, that's fair.
If that character was in Gundam, he'd have a mask.
He'd have a mask, and he'd be a villain.
Yeah.
Right? So
The mech has a whip.
The mech has the whip.
I mean, you're not wrong. But so it's like, I want to play counter to that intervention. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to take what would usually be this character has a mask and he is the villain character, and make him, you know, a good guy support character who actually just was like, I really like my wife. I'm just like, he really appreciates his wife. He doesn't mind that she wants to sleep with everything and anything. He's okay with it. Except for like that little bit at the end where he's like, can you know, maybe not for a little while, mostly because I just got promoted and people are staring at us, but you know, that's not about jealousy, that's about reputation in the tabloids. That's two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why he was trying to be like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, great. Love it. He was great. I loved his picture. I was like, yes.
Pope.
Love you, Eddie. Miss you. Hope you're feeling better. So tell us about Noir.
Remember how I said I watch a shit ton of Chinese dramas?
Yeah.
I watch a shit ton of Chinese dramas. The rival turned love interest turned rival for the love interest is a character trope in both anime and Chinese drama. And then I decided first I decided I wanted the rival to be wanted the rival particularly to be a woman female presenting to be that foil to that idealized male anime character that Eddie was created, intentionally. So it's both a female presenting individual competing for a female love interest and being your rival on the battlefield as well. So all of the fun things. And then I was like, I was also reading I was rereading the Tamora Pierce Alana series. Song of the Lioness. And it wasn't Alana who I decided was the basis for Manwar, although that could have been entertaining. No. Her, I'm gonna mess it up. I need to actually look at it. Hold on a second. Look. I need the wiki, because I need to make sure I pronounce it correctly, and I need to see, come here. Okay. The Queen of Tortal is from in the Tortalan universe is from an eastern country who's basically are kind of like a nomadic, think Mongolian sort of nomadic tribes people. And she eventually becomes queen and is, kicks ass and takes names. But she's also a queen and she can do all these things. And it's bothering me, and I'll just look it up. Theat Gian Willima. She is the only child of late Adjunjin Willima, a Saracen warlord, and the late Kalisin, a Khmeri princess. So she is, steppe tribes, outer Mongolia, Chinese kind of kick butt, take names. I was like, ooh, this would be cool. Oh, this would be even cooler if she then, because I was like, ooh. Now we're both competing, and so I decided that's where I was going to kind of like take her ideology. And then Eddie decided to have Rex sleep with her. I was like, oh, now I get to have my Witcher 3 moment. Look. You're the one that chose to sleep with her and then not tell your girlfriend.
Yep.
Small ship. It's not like it's.
Look,
it's a big ship, but
it's still a small ship.
It's still a ship.
Anyone else that we want to know about?
I got to know Yukihara biblically, so we're good.
Yeah, we talked about Yukihara too.
Yeah.
The only one, and this is more for the audience, is is our chief, is Gibson.
Look, when I have a player who will embrace the fact that he is playing Mythos on my ship, I need to throw as many frickin' Highlander the series characters in as possible. And I kid you not, I did. There are. Can you do it for those playing along at home? I will give you 30 seconds to tell me exactly how many NPCs there are from Highlander the series. I'm not going to go any further because,
Yeah. My guess is less. Then 12 more than 2.
That's a very broad number.
It could be broader.
Lynn, do you have a guess?
I don't know. I haven't watched House of Blue. I would have no idea.
Oh, I'm sorry for you.
Same. Yet. It's on my to-watch list.
Also, feel sorry for you. PB, any bets?
I'm in the same boat as the other two. I'll give a guess though. I'll say 7.
It's not a bad guess. So Gibson is literally Joe Dawson, who is the Watcher in the Highlander series, which means he's human in the series, and he watches immortals and records, but never interferes, is literally what their job is, to watch the immortals and never interfere. Joe Dawson is played by Jim Burns. Jim Burns was a double amputee, and he played Jim Dawson as a double amputee in the series, and Gibson is a double amputee, and Joe Dawson and Jim Burns both were blues musicians and jazz musicians who had Gibsons. I was like, oh, wait. There's that one. Look, no, Coldrake. There are only 2 movies. There's nothing else. There are 2 movies. We don't talk about anything else. And then there's the series. And there's only 1 series. We don't need to talk about that other thing that pretended to be a series. There was... Cassandra was a character based on... Look, when Pope told me that that 2 of his exes hated him, I said, and I see both of you. I'm not commenting at both of you.
Oh, I have seen a Highlander series. It was the cartoon.
The animated series? The animated series? Okay, excuse me. There are
Animated
technically...
series
There's
was
one
fun.
animated series. There's one animated series.
It was fun.
It was fun. Cassandra is a character. When Pope told me that he rolled 2 of his exes hated him, and he's like, oh, well, I need this ex, I need this ex. I'm like, no, one of them has to be Cassandra. He goes, oh, yeah. Because Cassandra is literally a character in that series that hates Mythos. Spoiler. For a series that's been over for 20 years. Sorry. You never met him, but he was mentioned to be concerned about a number of times, was Duncan MacLeod. Those are the ones you know about?
There were a few other mentioned.
Yes. But, well, I'll let you... There's one other that was definitely mentioned.
Yes.
Who were you thinking of? I will confirm.
Well, there's Kronos.
Yes, Kronos was mentioned.
So.
Kronos is definitely mentioned. Fun times.
But
I'm not going to
but-
tell. Kronos is a NPC character in the Highlander series. I'm not going to spoil because it's a major plot point for
Yeah,
an entire arc.
Small arc, but an important one. But yeah, there are a number of characters. We even dug into Mythos' backstory for some characters that have yet to appear or be mentioned. But it is that was fun. Also, just having realization that playing this character means Cassandra levels of trouble was both a delight and a trial.
Look, I'm sorry. Full disclosure, when I realized that I was okay, so before you even mentioned all of these things, Pope, okay, spoiler alert. Spoiler for the whole series of this series. Before you even mentioned what your character name was and what the inspiration was, and I figured things out. I was reading through like 3 of the Mekton books and realized there was not a Highlander RPG. Oh. Technically, no. I was reading through the Mekton books and realized that there is a weapon that will basically amplify the speech of a pilot from within the mech to cause you to freeze in place because it's a psychic attack on your nervous system. It overwhelms your nervous system, and specifically will overwhelm the nervous system, the functioning systems in the mech. It's a vocal EMP. I was like, oh, and then you told me I get to that you were going to play basically Mythos. So I was like, oh, I know who gets this toy. This toy goes to Cassandra. Because, spoiler alert for Cassandra, she is literally an immortal who has a serious hate problem with Mythos, and has an actual power with her voice that she can control people. You know, I was like, this is gonna be fun. I like when I can take pieces like that and throw Easter eggs like that into the game. I've done it for a number of games that I do. Just be like, this would be great. This would be hilarious. There are a bunch of Easter eggs in this game from previous games that I've run. Games that both Lynn and Lindy have partaken in. But, anyone else want to know inspirations for other NPCs? Since we're here.
I'm good.
I think I'm good too.
Any more questions from likes of Simon, Coldrake, our current audience? I'm viewing the chat.
Crit believes they have seen the inside of the brain of Prax and is more terrified but has seen enlightenment. Oh, if you were seen inside my brain, I don't think you would get to enlightenment. There is another, well, there was another question from Coldrake that was sent earlier. But I'm not going to answer this question because the question is, what will be the opening chess move for season 2? If we get a season 2, and B, that would be a spoiler for season 2. I'm not going to spoil season 2. It's a thing.
Fair.
I have a question. Because I get to ask these kind of questions, and I appreciate all of these things. So, you've all got to play this. Coldrake wants to know, will Socket be able to salvage the mech they fought for new improvements? If she rolls high enough. I mean, she will definitely try. She's a Rastelli. Waste not, want not. But it's whether or not it'll be integrated, because it's basically a system that the library had never seen before. Lysander asked, were there any characters from Cyberpunk going to show up in this campaign, like as uploaded brains? Basically the only character that I would do that with, because you have to remember that technically Starblade Battalion branches off from the Cyberpunk universe at Cyberpunk 2020, well before Cyberpunk Red, let alone Cyberpunk 2077. Which, by the way, 2077 is a video game, an entirely separate same continuity, separate thing. Cyberpunk Red, very cool. We support Cyberpunk Red. So realistically, the only one that I would get, because you would have, would be, I mean, Alt Cunningham exists and is currently, according to canon, a bodiless AI because Soul Killer is a thing. What she's doing, well, you know, they didn't meet them. Also, rabbits are not a thing. Yeah. Look, there are some very interesting things you could do with a full Borg entity, which is basically just uploading your brain, basically your brain and your nervous system into a new body. There's a lot of things you could do with that. There are a lot of people that could have been done to. People that they may have already met. There's a lot of things they didn't get answers to.
Lots.
So I think, well, I was going to ask my question. What is one thing from this game that you just truly enjoyed from a both RP and mechanic, when RP and mechanics worked together? Point. Because the stories are great, but one of the things I love about TTRPGs is it is designed for the for both the mechanics and the RP to work together and have those things. So when was something for you that both the mechanics and the RP just worked together to tell an even better moment?
I think the attack that turned into, what was it, the sibling tag team at the end.
Yeah, because because of the knockback effect.
The knockback, yeah.
It basically shoved him into your sword.
Yeah.
That was actually really cool.
For me, it's actually much more early on. When everyone's at the bar and we're all drinking, and Adam's the only one who doesn't get wasted. And from there, we had the entire perception moment, seeing the data pad and grabbing that. That I felt like was very much in character and for that moment, and that was beautiful.
PB?
I don't ever remember the rolling parts of the game. I only remember the part that actually happens.
That's fair.
So I'm trying to remember what rolls we did and stuff like that. So I don't remember. There were just a lot of cool moments, and I'm sure there were some rolls that really amplified them.
Lindy?
When Rowan decided he wanted to try and step in front of a jetpack's exhaust.
Oh my god!
And
we figured out what
was off by one.
Yeah,
to succeed on actually having that not happen.
Oh.
Sometimes you succeed by one, but sometimes you fail by one.
Oh.
Yeah. That's mine. Just
how bad could it be?
Right,
it's really bad.
It's real bad.
Really
Just
bad.
think about it for a second. Just think about it. Just take 6 seconds. Think to yourself.
I would like it pointed out that I said...
Oh, he was warned.
Oh, yeah, no, he was warned. We're not saying there wasn't warning. It was one of those, we've all been there. We've all gone, yeah, I only have one, fourth level spell slot. And yes, I want a dimension door onto the back of the retreating dragon that's at full health. We've all done stupid things, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't.
I don't think that one worked.
That one did not work.
Oh,
but
Well,
it definitely made
no.
an interesting story point.
Yeah,
It was a
RP
character
wise.
moment.
it set up
It
it set up a
was.
trend for like Rex almost dying.
No, but that's the thing is, like, that's the second time Rex almost dies.
Yeah, because
Wow.
vacuum.
Because
Which,
vacuum.
Yeah.
Because vacuum is a thing.
which transitions great into another question.
Mm-hmm.
What inspired you to start with an ambush?
So I looked at where we started in the timeline and then looked at where things were going for what the Starblade wanted to achieve. So in the backstory of this setting, in the campaign setting for this book, the Starblade there's been an event. The corps have attacked the Earth sphere, decimated them. Like, it was bye-bye. And I'm using actually decimated and losing 1/10 of the entire field correctly. And then the Starblade works with a bunch of people to sabotage the corp control, and then find out that the Gaians are really doing a lot of things. So the Starblade is positioned to try and is basically trying to keep the corpse and Earth sphere from going at it full force and basically causing an intergalactic war that the members of the Starblade Battalion are like, we're all gonna get fucked if you do this, right? Right? Hey, dickwads. Yes, I get it. It's okay. No, fine. We're gonna get involved. Is basically what the Starblade is doing. So we set things up so that you're 6 months, effectively almost a year after the major incident, and 6 months after the foundation of the Starblade Battalion. And with that point, I was like, oh, you're not as secret as you think you are anymore. There's a new player on the table. This player both sides have now know that there's someone else playing. We need to remove this. Someone needs to remove this little peons early and get rid of them. And I knew who that was, and I knew what was going on. I know a lot of things that are currently still happening in the world to the side that I won't tell you any more about. But that was somebody's idea of being hey, we need to get rid of them before they become any bigger than they are. Because they might actually, who are they talking to? They know these people. They know people of authority and power. They're gaining popularity. People are defecting from our military to join them on both sides.
I liked it just because, like, prior to the first session, like, I had put so much work into this mech, trying to figure out this mech, and it's like, it just put me in a mindset of, like, who did this? Who did this to my mech? I put so much, who put a bomb on my...
I would also like you to know that I random rolled for what happened to each of your mechs.
Oh, it would have been bad if Vantage got the one that just makes your thing just, like, not powered. It's not good.
Yeah. I also random rolled based on, how long the intruders were on the ship, how much damage they could do, how many of your mechs that they would affect, how many things like that. I random rolled. I like letting dice tell things. And then I got to just sit back and let you all discover those problems and try to fix them. Also, other side note for why I just, that was the through line of what I was thinking of psychologically. And then I was like, oh, well, we're just going to start with them destroying you. Because this is also only a 6-week series.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted it to feel like an old school Gundam 0080, 0082, OVA series, which is going to be 8 episodes made, maybe you're going to start with this. And if you actually even go back to Gundam Unicorn, which you can see.
Yeah.
And it's not a spoiler because it happens in literally the first 5 minutes of Gundam Unicorn. The first scene of Gundam Unicorn is, oh, we're going to announce the new Universal Century, and we're going to destroy the entire floating space station and rip it into pieces and kill the entire parliament and the new elected planetary government. That's the first 5 minutes of that series. I was like, oh, well, this is where we're going. That's the mood and feel we started with.
That's good. Yeah.
Was Last Starfighter inspired by Gundam? No. Yes.
Star Wars,
I mean,
definitely
it gets
by Star Wars.
Well, no. Technically, Last Starfighter is probably more inspired by Macross. If you consider that Starfighter, the video game, was probably inspired by Macross. Because Macross exists before Gundam. Very little period before Gundam, but before Gundam. And Starfighter is a very old video game. And Last Starfighter is inspired by the video game. I mean, I can't claim that, but that's my timeline, basically. So I guess I need to know if you all have any last questions for me. From chat, or from my players, or for each other.
I've got one. For everybody here, if there is a season 2, what would you like to see/pursue with your character, or story-wise for Prax?
Wait, hold on.
You don't need to write anything down. Don't worry about it. It's on VOD. You can just watch it later. It's
Yeah,
fine.
somebody clip it.
Yeah, go on.
Oh. That's a tricky one because I don't know if I would play Aurelia in a season 2, or if I'd come in with a new character.
Which is all. Let's go with that. Would you play a new character in season 2? Pope is not, because he.
1, I love Adam too much, and 2, things that I'm desiring. 2 things. 1, we've talked about him so much. There needs to be interaction between Adam and Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
That's 1. 2, there's 6 months that need to be accounted for, and how that relationship goes after those 6 months.
Yes.
So those are the 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, in like 6 months, there's gonna be like a baby Sterling. So that there could be something
that's fair.
interesting that happens, or she's gonna be busy. So that's one of those things. Just like I don't know.
Does Rosie have a
Oh, of course,
babysitting
Rosie has
protocol?
a
I was about to say, like,
protocol.
what's Rosie's?
Rosie has nurse protocols. It's fine.
Obviously.
Ooh. Iris is a very unique person in my head. I
wouldn't want to play Iris. You're good.
I'll be honest, like, when I have somebody play an NPC, I've only really done it once. Technically twice, but I'll explain number 2 when we come back to it. The chronologically second time it happened, but the real time is the way it worked with when I had Kelly, aka the Opera Geek, come in to guest on Vampire Nightfall on Simon's channel, where we played the Vampire the Masquerade game set in New York. And when I created that game, I was like, I want the Prince of New York. Wait, who can Oh, I know who I want to be the Prince of New York. I want Kelly to be the Prince of New York. No. I don't want a character. I want Kelly.
Fair.
All of her Kelly-ness to be the Prince of New York. And then I expanded that out, and we built out a character who is what Kelly would be as the Prince of New York. But in that game, the prince is also was Bodicea, and basically, yeah, there's a period of time that she just doesn't care, as noted by the fact that the Met is her warehouse for goods, and she likes cannons, occasionally firing them down Fifth Avenue. But so when I was like, oh, wouldn't it be great if you came to guest, I had already established the prince as an NPC, but I'd been basing my portrayal of that NPC on Kelly. And then just let Kelly run with everything else, and then any other time they interacted, it was based on that previous interaction. The other time was when, technically, in Go West, Lindy's character and Eddie's character had become NPCs because they were in previous one-shots in the same universe.
Yep.
So the players had interacted with those... Robin Banks. Those players had interacted with not Robin, but had quasi-interacted with Eddie's character beforehand and knew that. And so I was like, okay, well, but it's still based on characters that players had made in this universe previously. And I was just like, hey, come play your character again. So I don't like it when, I don't usually do that when I like, hey, have a player come play an NPC, because it doesn't, I want to give you each a different reason for playing. Even if you're going to be a one-shot character, or you're going to be a guest character for some, little bit, I want you to play something that you enjoy, because the worst thing in an in TTRPG is playing a character you don't like. Like, I have being told to play a character you don't like. I have on occasion created characters that I thought I would like, and then just like, oh no, you're a horrible, and not just you're a horrible trash person, and I hate you, but I just don't feel enjoyment playing this character in this game. Versus, I'm going to create a pre-gen, and this is who you have to play, and I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
This is not what I want to play. I want to play this, or I want to play that. So I'd rather give people who come in all opportunities. Like, I want to give people opportunities to play whatever kind of character they want. So I guess that goes back to, look, Robin Banks actually robbed banks, and you should go look, they're on Simon's YouTube, and it's called Go West, enjoy. Actually, no. Just the one shot. But, PB, is there something you, for a season 2, something that you're interested in? Would Calyx come back for season 2?
Yeah. I think they would, especially after like a little bit of a tiny time skip. Because I think she would like take leave to help Alex out and get the mess that I'm sure the legal situation is situated. And then I think she would like toy with like becoming like seeing if the business thing is for her now 10 years later. Realize no, it is not. And like go basically racing back, no pun intended, to the battalion and just be like raring to just do things that aren't paperwork and calls and just all of that. So I think she would, and I'd like to see kind of like what that means for her now to have family again, but still be in a reckless profession in so many ways. And also, I still have an enemy somewhere out there. I'm sure they're doing stuff.
Yep. You're
Good
worth
stuff, I
6
think.
figures.
Yeah. Oh, that one too. Yeah, that one still hasn't finished his thing either. So
Oh yeah, that is true. You technically have 2. Count them. 2.
this one I knew about. The other one I don't. Have no idea who they are, where they come from, or why. This one I remembered a little bit. She was a superior at her job that didn't like me.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think there's still a lot to explore with Calyx, and especially with the new dynamics that have been introduced that would make me want to play her in the season 2.
Good to know. Good to know. Hey, Lynn.
Yeah, totally would want to play more Vantage, I think. Yeah, see where that goes, like with everything that's happened, have, relationship with Rex, the whole thing with her family, like what does she look like, further down the line. Also, like the idea of maybe like that the whole thing with her family is like, and that her that Xavier's there is like maybe push her into like a more public facing thing, that something that like she is not comfortable with, because she did not want her picture taken like at the wedding at all. And if she's pushing that kind of in that general direction, what would that be like? Also a sweet rivalry, or like with like another mech pilot or something like that would be
Interesting.
have an enemy. Yes.
I guess. Interesting. Good to know. Good to know. And then I guess the question then for you, Lindy, would be, because I want to know. I just have these. If you didn't play Aurelia, what kind of character would you play? Another support character, or?
Well, you see, I'd have to roll on the life path.
Legit.
I will say my first instinct when it came to Mekton was to play a mechanic to help maintenance everyone's mechs. So I think it might be another support character, though I don't know. The life path could surprise me, because you never know with that life path. So I don't know.
Well, that's good. Good to know. Good to know.
Speaking of mechanics, I should add, I would also like to continue playing Calyx, because I need to know what a relationship between her and Socket is like.
Fair. We all need to know.
All right.
Yeah.
So what we need is.
Huzzah. I speak for the community. Huzzah. We this is the one ship we stand.
Really? Because I see so many right now.
Oh, there's plenty, but this is the one. Followed quickly by Vantage and Rustlin. That's number 2.
Oh, I ship them all. I can't.
I-
I can't.
you know
I
what?
can't
If
give
it-
them numbers. I can't pick favorites. They're like children.
If I like Russell so much, I My other option would be like love rival or like love.
Oh God! So,
Oh.
a new hot mech pilot that's also competing for Ruslin's affections. Ooh.
Or no, just like like enemy. Like we fight.
Oh. Wait, Ruslin has a past.
Mm.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Rustlin has a
Ooh.
very deep past. I have notes
I
about
do
it in the
not- I
family
do not-
tree.
I do not doubt that at all. I do not.
It's me, y'all. Did you not?
Hell yeah. Exactly. Yes.
Remember how I said there are 79 current images on my Pinterest for this
Mhm.
game? Y'all ain't seen everything yet.
Let's get a sword fight.
I'm just, by the way, going through and seeing, because we also have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yes, and Aurelia. And, Argento. So, look, this is the list. See, this is my little list of notes. You see this? You have Socket and Calyx, Xavier and Adam, Vantage and Rustlin, Rex and Mawar, and Kitty. Or excuse me, K, not Kitty.
K,
Okay.
K, not Kitty.
Why did I write
Kitty's
Holy-
Kitty got vaporized.
She's very dead. K. K, not Kitty. Ooh, by the way, I can tell you that inspiration. I should tell you that inspiration. And Aurelia and Argento. This is going right over here in the pile of notes that I keep for all the games that will eventually end up in other places. Oh, I should tell you the inspiration for Kay. Even down to her nickname. Is my grandmother.
Oh.
My father's mother, Catherine Walsh, or Catherine Donlin Nee Walsh, well, no, excuse me, not Catherine Walsh. Catherine Byrne, not Catherine Walsh. Helen Walsh is my father's grandmother, so my great grandmother. But Catherine Byrne Donlin was a nurse. Her nickname was Kay, and she was a very intelligent individual and full-on saint. Also, during World War II, she and my grandfather were OSS officers. They were counterintelligence. And this started because when they were dating, my grandmother was a nurse and therefore had gas rations, and they needed for an undercover op a girl, and they needed a car. So I was like, ooh. I took a K and was like, this is who this is. And then I used, it was a lot of fun. So we know that if we get a season 2, there are things that you all want to know. There are some very interesting things that I would look forward to. I will say my hope is that we get a season 2. If we do, it'll come down to timing. It'll be about scheduling. Let's be honest, it'll be scheduling. But I think I will let each of you give a final thought on this game, and then we will, as we all say goodnight for now, and where we can, all of those good things. So, I will start. Let's go in reverse order. Lindy, hi.
Hi.
Final thoughts for Starblade Battalion Memories.
Super duper freaking fun. Love the moon school kids. I would be happy for an OVA within the OVA of just, again, moon school life, because you
want the chibi episode. I know.
I want the chibi episode. Yeah, just loved it. I loved all the growth all the characters had, and just like the revealing of, things about them and the squad. And I had a blast playing a support character. And, Aurelia's just really happy to not be getting divorced right now. She thought everything was fine, and turns out she was right. There was just a moment of panic. It was fine. Everything's fine. And everything is fine, especially now that we stopped the wedding. And also, fuck Lorian, but not in a good way. Parting thoughts. That's it.
Okay, but where can we find you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a very cute cat on my lap. You could find me online at LaughLoveLindy, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, etc. I'm back. So, there'll actually be games on my channel this coming week. So, more Dungeons and Dragons on Monday and Tuesday. Happy Dungeons and Dragons. Well, regular Dungeons and Dragons adventures on Mondays, and Ravenloft on Tuesday, where they're trusting an imp to guide them through Aslan's castle. It's gonna be great. And of course, you can find me not here for my Mekton next week, but you can find me with Lynn Friday evening on Weave the Tale, playing some Dragon Age, where I'm totally slightly creepy, unnerving, apostate elven healer mage. We'll go with that. Yeah.
You healed yourself. You're a healer. There we
Yeah,
go.
I healed myself.
You healed
That
everyone.
counts.
You're a healer.
I healed a lot of people. Don't ask about my methods, just the results, all that matters.
I mean, that's fair. It's fair. And then directly below, hey Pope, final thoughts for Starblade Battalion Memories?
An absolute blast. And play more games. Everybody, play more games and let things surprise you. Be willing to say yes for something that's a little outside your comfort zone. And just try your best to have fun, be safe, and enjoy things. Because this has been all that for me, and I have loved every second of it. With that being said, if you want to see more of my ridiculous face, right now we're on break. July is here, which means summer is here, and summer in Florida is brutal.
Yeah.
So, also just to be fair for those who would like to carry my ridiculous face, we are in hurricane season, so July is a good time to take off. Just because I live in a farmhouse from the 1920s. If
1920s house is a high five.
If there's a stiff enough breeze in the wrong section of town, it's a bad time. So I'm on break for a bit, but when you will see me again will be Wednesdays with my fellow murder parent, Lynn, when Spy Game comes back. Definitely check out follow Black Cats or Black Cats Gaming's Kickstarter for Cursed Captains of Cthulhu. They are so close to being fully funded. You definitely want to get in. There are so many amazing people involved with that project. Definitely check them out. And then on occasional Sundays, you can catch me over on Matt Hibson's channel for Masked Sunset City. And that's pretty much it for me in the upcoming until something else grabs me. But I can't say enough that I've absolutely adored being here, working with these wonderful people, and being able to share the story with all of you, whether you're watching live, VOD, YouTube, wherever you are. Story is nothing without its audience. And you're much part of this as we are. Thank you all so very much. Love you, and see you soon.
Thank you, Pope. Always thank you. Next up, hey PB, thank you again for doing this. And final thoughts?
Of course. I loved this game. It was so much fun. The unexpected twists and turns and all the characters, NPCs and PCs. Ruin was amazing. And yeah, I just love the system. I love the game, and I'm really happy that I got to play in it. Thank you so much for inviting me. And yeah, I'm PB. I'm PB Plays Inside. I don't really do much in the summers because for similar reasons, it's just really hot. And having lights on my face is really hot. So I usually just don't do things in the summer. But yeah, you can just find me at PB Plays Inside on pretty much everything. I'm most active on Twitter, TBH. And yeah, you'll find me lurking in different streams. So make sure to spread the love to all these lovely people here also for me. And yeah.
I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate everybody in this game. And thank you again for suffering through the hot with the lights for this short period. And then last but never least, hey Lynn, thank you again. And final thoughts on Starblade Battalion Memories?
Oh, thank you. This has been I had a wonderful time playing with everybody and all the characters, and I have been itching to play an anime/mech game for a long time, which my growing pile of Gunpla will attest to. It's one of my loves, and thank you for giving me a chance to play. And it was but yeah, I'm Lynn at Flying Cirrus, pretty much every place. You can catch probably on Twitter where I have lists of my games and the art that I do. In addition to the spy game on Wednesdays and follow Black Cats with Pope, and the Dragons game with Lindy on Weave Tail. Check out on Saturdays on Warner DM Scion, where we're all a bunch of godlings. We're all together, and we're basically like, we do small crimes at this moment. It's kind of right. We're using our powers responsibly and not for our own gain, and stealing priceless artifacts and international crimes. And on Tuesdays on Cobalt Press for Scarlet Citadel, where I have made a choice to go in full tabaxi makeup for the entire thing. But it's been wonderful.
I saw the Instagram post. It's beautiful. Thank you, Lynn. It is a beautiful cosplay. I respect you. I also respect you for doing that in the middle of August, or middle of July. It's gonna be hot.
I designed that character for to have like a crop top, because I can't pull. There's no way I am wearing. I will dress up, but I have no way I'm wearing a wizard robe in this weather.
No, I understand that one. And as for me, hey all, you know me, I'm at Deirdre on Twitter, Praxagorath Esmiaphori, as you see me around on Twitch. Thank you all for participating in this first mini campaign. I will have to talk to the players and see what we can do about scheduling for season 2, because it seems like there are questions that the players want answered.
That never happens.
But in the near future, much closer, Friday, what the heck happened?
You just turned into a snap camera. That's all. Don't just keep going.
Oh, well,
Look, I'm gonna do it this way for right now, so I can figure out why snap camera just quit. And then we can fix this. Nope, no I can't. So, you know what? You're just going to hear me and not see me for right now. On Friday, over on Wandering DM's channel, Simon, we are beginning season 5 of Cyberpunk Red, and we're going to have a guest for the beginning of season 5. The gentleman who talks to himself shall be appearing. Jim will be entering the board at the beginning of on Friday. Other doc. Then on Sunday, here on this channel, 8 p.m. Eastern, we have the last of our solo Blue Rose episode our solo Blue Rose episodes with Alyssa, Xander Slamilton, as we get to see what goes on for Cecilia's flashback episode. I'm sure everything will be fine and there will not be tears for anyone.
Sure.
You didn't cry.
It's me.
This is true. I'm sure it'll be fine for everyone. And then season 2 of Witcher Roads Home will begin on July 21st. And season 2 of Romance of the Blue Rose will begin on July 18th. So 2 weeks until, a week from Sunday, and that is the beginning of season 2. And until then, we're going to just stay all the cool things. Follow all of these wonderful people because they're so great, and we shall see what happens. Maybe we'll see each other soon. Until then, I'm going to, let's go. You know who we should raid?
Person.
Jim.
Yes.
Yeah.
That person.
We should go bother Jim.
Do it.
We should bother Jim. We're gonna go bother Jim, everybody. Have a good one.
Woo.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for the memories.